Breakthrough to half-saint. Chaotic Qi. After listening to the explanation of the reincarnation emperor, Lu Ming felt that it was a pity. At the same time, he was shocked. In the world, there were actually 9 laws that could be on par with chaos. In the past, Lu Ming did not know about this at all. It seemed that he still knew too little. Senior, perhaps in the future, there will be someone suitable for Senior's inheritance. Lu Ming said. Although it was a pity, he could only give up. He couldn't possibly give up the chaos domain and switch to reincarnation, right? That was impossible. There's no time left. This wisp of my soul can't exist for long. The reincarnation emperor sighed. Then, a crystal-like object appeared in his hand. Laws revolved around it and it was extremely wonderful. Lu Ming looked at it as if he was looking at a whole new world. Lu Ming, this is my world core. It contains all my inheritance. Take it. If you meet a suitable person in the future, help me pass it on. This is my last wish. The reincarnation emperor said with a sigh. The fact that a great emperor had fallen into such a state was truly lamentable. Senior, Lu Ming will definitely find the most suitable successor for you and pass it on. Lu Ming's gaze was firm. He then took the world core from the reincarnation emperor and put it away solemnly. Many thanks. The reincarnation emperor smiled and said, Little guy, since you are the first one to wake up, how can I let you return empty-handed? This reincarnation halberd is for you. The reincarnation emperor's palm glowed, and a halberd appeared. This reincarnation halberd used to be my combat weapon, but it has been severely damaged and has no power left. However, I have sealed 2 forces inside it. If these 2 forces were to be fully unleashed, they can kill any expert below the emperor realm, said the reincarnation emperor. It can kill any expert below the emperor rank. Lu Ming was shocked, then ecstatic. Such a treasure was simply heaven-defying. At a critical moment, it was a treasure that could definitely turn the tables and save his life. That's right. Of course there are only 2 forces. Once you use them there's no more. Take them. The reincarnation emperor passed the reincarnation halberd to Lu Ming, who accepted it with joy. Okay, I'll send you out now, said the reincarnation emperor. Senior, can I stay here for a while? I want to cultivate here. Lu Ming said. Previously, he had experienced 9 lifetimes. Those scenes were like 9 real lives. Lu Ming had learned a lot. He felt that he was about to make a breakthrough in the chaos realm. One more step and he would be a half-saint. As long as he broke through to the half-saint realm, his strength would skyrocket. He would have more confidence when he went out. It's fine, you can continue to cultivate, said the reincarnation emperor. Lu Ming nodded and then sat cross-legged. He took out the Path Understanding Ancient Tree and started to comprehend it quietly. The Path Understanding Ancient Tree? It seems like this little fellow has more secrets than I thought. The reincarnation emperor was stunned for a moment, and then he smiled. The chaos domain on Lu Ming's body was shaking up and down. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. Boom! The chaos domain on Lu Ming's body suddenly trembled violently and then expanded with an imposing aura. The ultimate domain. After going through 9 reincarnations, Lu Ming had an epiphany and finally made a breakthrough in the chaos domain to the extreme. The ultimate primal chaos domain was much more powerful than a level 9 primal chaos domain. As soon as the chaos realm was broken through, the essential core in Lu Ming's body also went berserk. It whistled and jumped, its speed increasing. His cultivation base was about to break through. Lu Ming waved his hand and a large pile of mid-grade raw gemstones appeared on the ground. Lu Ming circulated the devouring power and devoured the raw gemstones madly, beginning to refine them. 3 days later, Lu Ming had already refined an unknown number of raw gemstones. His aura suddenly increased explosively, forming a primordial chi pillar that shot straight to the top of the secret chamber. However, this secret chamber was very sturdy. Lu Ming's essential core chi column rushed to the top and there was no reaction at all. At this moment, Lu Ming opened his eyes. He had finally broken through to the first stage of half-saint. After breaking through to the half-saint realm, his combat strength had increased dramatically. He was now confident that he could suppress the Tao Tai alone. Little guy, I almost forgot. I can see a trace of chaos chi in your body. Let me give you another opportunity. The reincarnation emperor appeared and walked over. A stream of chi appeared in his hand and started to circle around his arm. Chaos chi. This is the real chaos qi. Lu Ming's eyes widened in shock. He could immediately sense that the current on the arm of the Reincarnation Emperor was the real chaotic qi. Although he cultivated the chaos domain, he had never seen true chaos qi. That's right. This is a wisp of true chaotic qi. I obtained it before the Great War. I originally wanted to refine it into the Reincarnation Halberd, but after the Great War, I gave it up. Now, I'll give it to you. Refine it into your spirit body, and the power of your spirit body will be greatly improved. Lu Ming, close your eyes. I'll give you a hand. The Reincarnation Emperor shouted. Lu Ming quickly closed his eyes and became one with his mind. The Reincarnation Emperor waved his hand, and a wisp of chaotic qi flew out and entered Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body trembled and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The qi of chaos was the qi of origin between heaven and earth. Even a wisp of it could collapse a mountain. It was extremely heavy. As soon as the chaos qi entered Lu Ming's body, he felt that his body was about to break apart. Hold on, there's a trace of chaos qi in your body. You should be able to refine it. The voice of the Reincarnation Emperor rang in Lu Ming's ears. Then, a ray of light was emitted from the Reincarnation Emperor's hand and enveloped Lu Ming. Instantly, Lu Ming felt the pressure on his body lighten. He then focused his mind and began to refine with all his might. Slowly, a wisp of true chaotic qi intertwined with the original wisp of chaotic qi in his body and seeped into Lu Ming's body. His body was slowly becoming stronger. At this moment, on the bridge of helplessness, there were many young men sitting cross-legged. They were Huang Ling, the Golden Crow 10th Prince, the Tao Tai, and the others. The more than 40 Heaven's favorites who had jumped into the vortex were all here. At this moment, all of the Heaven's favorites opened their eyes, and they were all confused. What's going on? I clearly remember drinking Grandma Meng's soup and jumping into the whirlpool. Why am I still here? Someone asked, full of doubt. I don't know either. I only know that I fell into darkness and lost consciousness. When I woke up, I was already here. I'm the same. The others all nodded. It seemed that they were different from Lu Ming. Lu Ming could remember everything that happened in his 9 reincarnations, but these people seemed to have forgotten. The Golden Crow 10th Prince's body was covered in flames. He stood up and looked around cautiously. When he didn't see Meng Pa, he let out a long breath. It seems like we have come out after entering the reincarnation. Who is it that has obtained the inheritance of the Reincarnation Emperor? The 10th Golden Crow Prince said coldly. All staring at Lu Ming, everyone looked at each other. They also wanted to know who had obtained the inheritance of the Reincarnation Emperor. The one who obtained the inheritance of the Reincarnation Emperor must be among us. It's best to tell us. Don't try to keep it for yourself. The Tao Tai said coldly. His body moved and blocked the bridge of helplessness path of retreat. He stared at the crowd with a ferocious look. The crowd looked at each other in confusion. For a moment, the scene quieted down, and the atmosphere was a little heavy. Before we find out who got the inheritance of the Reincarnation Emperor, well, stay here. No one can leave. The Tao Tai was extremely overbearing. There seems to be one person missing from our group. At this moment, a voice rang out. It was Sima Liang, and his gaze turned towards Huang Ling. That's right. One person is missing. Lu Ming is not here, said a young man in black feather clothes. He was young Master Tianying of the Heavenly Bird Palace. Huang Ling's eyes were filled with doubt. Why was Lu Ming not here? It really is so. Could it be that Lu Ming has obtained the legacy and is now accepting it? Maybe he has already left. Some people were making guesses. Well, wait here. If Lu Ming hasn't come out yet, he'll definitely come out later. If he doesn't come out after a while, well, go out and look for him. The 10th Golden Crow Prince's eyes flashed with a sharp light. The Reincarnation Emperor was a true emperor who could control the law of reincarnation. His inheritance was even more precious than the inheritance of the 1,000-kill martial emperor. Who wouldn't be tempted? Immediately, everyone began to wait quietly on the bridge of helplessness. Lu Ming, on the other hand, was focused on refining the chaos qi. Slowly, a wisp of chaos qi seeped into the depths of Lu Ming's body and spread to every cell, giving every part of Lu Ming's body a wisp of chaos qi. After a few days, Lu Ming finally managed to completely refine the wisp of chaos qi. Lu Ming ended his cultivation and leaped up. What powerful strength! Lu Ming felt that his body was filled with endless power. His punch was heavier than a mountain. He now felt that he could kill a half-saint who had comprehended the laws with his physical strength alone. Lu Ming, although your current spirit body is still a low-grade celestial spirit body, in terms of strength, it's no weaker than a medium-grade celestial spirit body. The voice of the Reincarnation Emperor could be heard. Many thanks, Senior. Senior, you. Lu Ming stood up and was about to bow to the Reincarnation Emperor when he realized that the Reincarnation Emperor's body had become very ethereal, as if he would disappear at any moment. He understood that the Reincarnation Emperor had used up the last of his soul power to help him. I'm sorry, Senior. Lu Ming's heart was filled with a deep sense of apology. He felt that his nose was a little sour. Little guy, don't blame yourself. This wisp of my soul was about to dissipate anyway. It has nothing to do with you. Now, I'll send you out. Go and roam the world as soon as possible. Then, the Reincarnation Emperor waved his hand. Lu Ming felt his body tighten. He left the secret room and came to an empty place. There was a black vortex in front of him. Senior, I will definitely find a suitable successor for you so that your legacy can be passed down. Lu Ming secretly swore in his heart and then stepped into the vortex. The next moment, Lu Ming passed through the vortex and a bridge appeared in front of him. It was the Bridge of Helplessness. Lu Ming took a step and stepped onto the Bridge of Helplessness. On the Bridge of Helplessness, everyone's eyes were fixed on Lu Ming. Their eyes were filled with a fiery glow. Everyone, long time no see, I hope you've been well. Lu Ming smiled. Lu Ming, you're finally out. Tell me, did you get the inheritance of the Reincarnation Emperor? The 10th Golden Crow Prince emanated a powerful aura and locked onto Lu Ming. The inheritance of the Reincarnation Emperor? Why do you say that? Lu Ming pretended to be puzzled. Lu Ming, I knew you would deny it. All of us appeared here at the same time. You're the only one who came out a few days later than the others. You must have obtained the inheritance of the Reincarnation Emperor. The Tao Tai opened its mouth and strode over. Just because I'm a little later, does it mean that I've obtained the inheritance of the Reincarnation Emperor? Lu Ming said indifferently. Everyone, it's very simple. As long as we cripple him and search his soul, everything will be clear. At that time, he'll still have to spit out everything. A cold voice rang out. It was Sima Yang. Since the beginning of the fight for the map and key of the tomb of the Samsara King, he had been at a disadvantage in the hands of Lu Ming and Huang Ling. Later on, he and Zhao Kuang wanted to cooperate with Lu Ming and Huang Ling but were chased away by Lu Ming. This was a great humiliation. He had been looking for an opportunity to kill Lu Ming. Now that he had such an opportunity, of course, he would not let it go. He immediately added fuel to the fire. Lu Ming's cold gaze turned to Sima Yang. You're looking for death. Sima Yang's expression changed, and he was a little frightened. However, when he thought about the fact that there were so many experts present, he became braver and said, What's wrong? Did I speak your mind? You want to kill me? Humph. There are so many people here, you won't have the chance today. That's right. Lu Ming, you should hand over the inheritance of the Reincarnation Emperor. Young Master Tianying said coldly. Bang! The 10th Golden Crow Prince took a step forward, and his entire body was covered in the divine fire of the Great Sun. If you don't want to admit it, then I'll search your soul. Golden Crow, what are you doing? Die! Huang Ling shouted as the undying flame spread out from her body. Her powerful aura surged towards the 10th Golden Crow Prince. Huang Ling, you'd better just stand there obediently. The Tao Tai said coldly. It took a step forward and stood in front of Bai Lin. Everyone, let's search his soul directly. Other than the inheritance of the Reincarnation Emperor, there are other secrets on this person. Let's get them together. Sima Yang clamored. Extremely arrogant. You're looking for death. Lu Ming looked at Sima Yang coldly and took a step forward, walking towards him. Who do you want to kill? Stay here. The Golden Crow 10th Crown Prince said coldly as he clawed at Lu Ming. However, the will of wind and thunder flashed across Lu Ming's body as he used the thundering wind steps. In a flash, Lu Ming dodged the attack of the 10th Golden Crow Prince and appeared in front of Sima Yang in an instant. Then, he stretched out his hand to grab Sima Yang. Sima Yang was shocked. He unleashed all of his cultivation and a heavenly halberd appeared in his hand, which he then swung at Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming suddenly shouted and used the divine sword technique. Two black rays of light shot out from his eyes and blasted into Sima Liang's spiritual god. Instantly, Sima Liang screamed in pain and his hands froze. When a martial artist made a breakthrough in their cultivation, they would also take the opportunity to condense their soul, and their soul power would also increase accordingly. When Lu Ming broke through to the first stage of the half-saint, his soul force had also improved. His soul power was already equivalent to the third stage of the half-saint realm. Now that he had improved, he was infinitely close to the soul power of the saint realm. After using the divine sword technique, even if Sima Liang had a spiritual divine defensive treasure, he was still greatly affected. Suppressing the golden crow Tao Tai, Sima Liang's movements paused for a moment. Lu Ming's claw had grabbed his throat. A terrifying force blasted out and surged into Sima Liang's body. Sima Liang's essential core was scattered immediately. The bones in his body crackled and many of them were broken. Release. Let me go. Sima Liang's eyes were filled with fear. I'll let you go. I've already given you a chance. You're the one who's looking for death. I can't help you. Lu Ming said coldly. Lu Ming, you'd better let him go. The 10th Golden Crow Prince said, his eyes shining with golden light and cold killing intent. He was the one who freed Lu Ming from his grasp. He grabbed Sima Liang and made him feel very embarrassed. You want me to let him go? Who do you think you are? Lu Ming looked at the 10th Golden Crow Prince, not giving him any face at all. In his palm, a violent force suddenly burst out. Bang! Sima Liang's body exploded in Lu Ming's hands. Then, he was crushed by the terrifying power and turned into ashes. The others gasped. How could Lu Ming's abilities be so terrifying? Sima Liang's abilities were definitely not weak. He was on par with most of the people at the scene. Yet, he could not even last one move against Lu Ming. He was as weak as a baby and could not fight back at all. Young Master Tianying, in particular, had spoken to Lu Ming earlier and was shivering. It's just a surprise attack by relying on soul attack techniques. You're courting death. Kill. The Golden Crow 10th Crown Prince shouted coldly. With a flash of golden light, he pounced toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming actually dared to berate him? He simply didn't know what death was. The 10th Golden Crow Prince's claws transformed into the Golden Crow's claws, suffused with the divine sun fire. He clawed at Lu Ming, wanting to kill him with a single claw. His aura was terrifying. On the side, Huang Ling wanted to help but was blocked by Tao Tai. The others looked on coldly. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. He stood still and his palm was like a blade, slashing towards the 10th Golden Crow Prince. Lu Ming actually wants to fight the 10th Golden Crow Prince in close combat. He's really looking for death. The body of the Golden Crow is extremely powerful to begin with. The body of the 10th Golden Crow Prince is equivalent to a low-grade celestial spiritual body. Coupled with the infusion of the laws, it is even more terrifying. Lu Ming has no chance of winning in close combat. Some people could not help but mock Lu Ming when they saw that he was going to take the 10th Golden Crow Prince's claw with his palm. Bang! Lu Ming's palm landed on the claws of the 10th Golden Crow Prince, and a metallic sound rang out. The 10th Golden Crow Prince's expression changed drastically. He let out a furious roar and unleashed a flurry of claw shadows. Lu Ming's palms also struck out continuously. In an instant, the two of them clashed head-on and exchanged dozens of moves. But what was even more shocking was that after a few dozen moves, the Golden Crow 10th Prince was forced to retreat. He took a few steps back before he could regain his balance. His palm was trembling slightly and there was blood flowing out. In a head-on confrontation, he was no match for Lu Ming at all. His claws were cracked from the impact. The others were dumbfounded. How was this possible? In a head-on clash, Lu Ming actually had the upper hand in terms of physical strength, and he had injured the 10th Golden Crow Prince. It's my turn. Lu Ming let out a long howl and charged toward the 10th Prince. His chaos domain, which had reached its peak, covered his entire body. He used the prison-suppressing heavenly art and attacked the 10th Prince in a frenzy. Gah! With a screech, the Golden Crow 10th Crown Prince transformed into his true form. His entire body glowed with a golden light, like a small sun. He flapped his wings and slashed at Lu Ming. However, as soon as he came into contact with Lu Ming, his body trembled as if it was torn apart. His divine sunfire and the law of flames were completely suppressed by Lu Ming's ultimate chaos domain. Boom! Golden feathers were dancing in the sky. The 10th Golden Crow Prince was enraged. He reached out with 3 claws at Lu Ming, but was knocked back by Lu Ming's punches. So strong! Everyone was shocked. Lu Ming's combat strength was so powerful that he could suppress the 10th Golden Crow Prince. He's made a breakthrough. He was already terrifying when he was in the 9th level of the martial royal realm. Now that he's broken through to the half-saint realm, his combat strength must be even stronger. Someone said, "Tao Tai, come and help me." The 10th Golden Crow Prince roared. Roar! Tao Tai transformed into his true form and was about to rush up to help, but Huang Ling blocked him. "Huang Ling, let him come at me together. I'll beat him up together today," Lu Ming said. The Phoenix Spirit's eyes shone with a strange light. Then she really dodged. The Tao Tai roared and pounced towards Lu Ming. "Kill!" Lu Ming shouted and launched the Divine Sword technique. He then raised his hand and cast the Chaos Sky-turning stamp at the Tao Tai. The primal Chaos Sky-turning seal pressed down, almost crushing the Tao Tai town. Boom! 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 Lu Ming was like a god of war as he launched a storm of attacks at the 10th Golden Crow Prince. The 10th Golden Crow Prince was forced to retreat and howl in anger. In the end, Lu Ming grabbed one of the Golden Crow 10th Prince's wings, lifted it up, and threw it at the charging Tao Tai. With a bang, the Golden Crow 10th Prince and the Tao Tai collided, and the sound of bones breaking could be heard. Buzz! In the sky, a huge Chaos Sky-turning stamp appeared and pressed down on the Golden Crow 10th Prince and the Tao Tai. The terrifying might caused the others to continuously retreat to the 2 ends of the Bridge of Helplessness, afraid of being affected. The 10th Golden Crow Prince and the Tao Tai howled as they fought back with all their might. However, it was useless. Lu Ming had used all his strength to cast the Chaos Empyrean seal. It was extremely powerful. The bodies of the 10th Golden Crow Prince and the Tao Tai trembled violently as they were forced to the ground and spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Everyone looked at each other with disbelief in their eyes. Lu Ming was fighting 1 against 2, and he had actually suppressed the Golden Crow 10th Prince and the Tao Tai so much that they were lying on the ground and vomiting blood. How was this possible? Lu Ming's combat strength was strong. They were aware of this before. Now that Lu Ming had broken through, they had originally speculated that Lu Ming could fight with one of them or even win. However, he had completely crushed them. This was too terrifying. They did not know that Lu Ming's spirit body had refined a wisp of true chaos chi. Although it was still a low-tier celestial spirit body, it was already equivalent to a medium-tier celestial spirit body. Naturally, he would be able to completely crush the 10th Golden Crow Prince and Tao Tai. Kill! The Black Dragon Spear appeared in Lu Ming's hands and he charged toward the Golden Crow 10th Prince and the Tao Tai. Let's go! The 10th Golden Crow Prince and the Tao Tai let out a loud roar as they suddenly charged towards the other side of the Bridge of Helplessness. They ran back the way they came from at an astonishing speed. Lu Ming's eyes flickered but he did not pursue. At this moment, the others looked at Lu Ming with fear and solemnness. Even the other Heaven's favorites on the same level as the 10th Golden Crow Prince were no exception. Lu Ming, your combat strength has become stronger. I'm no match for you at all. Huang Ling walked over and smiled. Let's go out. Lu Ming smiled and did not say much. He walked back the way they came. Chapter 1645 Change. Saints around the other Heaven's favorites remained silent. Finally, they looked at each other and returned to where they came from. Although they had all guessed that the inheritance of the Reincarnation Emperor was likely to fall into Lu Ming's hands, the combat strength that Lu Ming had just displayed was too strong. So what if it fell into Lu Ming's hands? What could they do? They would have to join forces to fight Lu Ming. However, judging from Lu Ming's combat strength, they would have to pay a heavy price even if they joined forces. They did not know how many people would die before they could take Lu Ming down. Which one of them was willing to take this risk? Lu Ming and Huang Ling walked in front. They soon passed through the small path and arrived at the area where the group of tombs was. However, when they walked into the tombs this time, there was no movement from the tombs. No illusionary figures came out to attack them. They passed through the tombs easily and arrived at the long passage. In front of him, the 10th Golden Crow Prince and Tao Tai saw Lu Ming approaching and immediately broke into a run, running madly through the passageway. Lu Ming sneered and stepped into the passage with Huang Ling. He strode forward, and the others followed behind him. The amazing thing was that when they came in before, it took them half a month to pass through the passage. This time, they only used a day to reach the end. They saw the mountain that had been split open by the halberd. Lu Ming could not help but think of the reincarnation halberd that the reincarnation emperor had given him. It seemed to be the halberd that was formed after the fusion of 10 keys. Buzz! Buzz! Once they were out of the passageway, the 10th Golden Crow Prince and the Tao Tai cast a cold glance at Lu Ming, then soared into the sky and flew into the distance. But right at this moment, a terrifying sword light appeared in the sky up ahead and slashed down towards the 10th Golden Crow Prince. This sword light looked like a rusty iron sword. It cut through the void and was hundreds of thousands of feet tall. At the same time, there was also a terrifying spear that was also covered in rust. It was incomparably huge as it charged towards Tao Tai. Who's there? You're looking for death. The 10th Golden Crow Prince let out a long cry and flew up into the sky. The divine fire of the sun burned fiercely, and one of his claws grew rapidly as he tried to grab the iron sword. At the same time, the Tao Tai roared and shot out a destructive light toward the spear. Boom! Boom! With 2 loud explosions, the figures of the 10th Golden Crow Prince and Tao Tai were blocked. They were suspended in the air. Even with their combat strength, they were unable to rush out. Their eyes were like lightning as they looked forward. In front of him, 2 figures stepped through the air. The 2 figures were both wearing rusty iron armors, and their bodies were filled with a strong aura of death. The difference was that one was holding a sword, and the other was holding a spear. Undead, and 2 of them were in the Saint realm. What's going on? The undead are actually attacking the 10th Golden Crow Prince. At this moment, Lu Ming and the rest had rushed out of the passage one after another. Someone asked doubtfully. Kill, kill. The 2 undead saints stepped forward and charged toward the Golden Crow 10th Prince and Tao Tai. Damn it! The 10th Golden Crow Prince and the Tao Tai roared in anger. They could only use their full power to fight. Instantly, 2 balls of bright light burst out in the sky. Let's go! Some of the young men said as they flew in another direction. Although he didn't know why the 2 undead saints attacked the Golden Crow 10th Prince and Tao Tai, it was better to leave as soon as possible while they were busy. Roar! At this moment, a terrifying roar shook the heavens and earth. A destructive light shot towards the few heavens favorites who were flying at high speed. Not good. Quickly retreat. A few heavens favorites roared and attacked. However, as the beam of light passed by, the few heavens favorites retreated and blood flowed out of their mouths. Saint, it's the saint again. A few of the elites shouted. Roar! Roar! Roars were heard. On their left, a few giant creatures stepped in the air, exuding a terrible aura. It was the holy aura. Those huge creatures were all fierce beasts, and they were all in the saint realm. Then, a loud roar came from the right. A terrifying pressure spread towards Lu Ming and the others. A few figures appeared. Each figure was bathed in a brilliant light. Their faces could not be seen clearly, but their auras were definitely that of saints. At the same time, a powerful aura spread down from above their heads. A few saints had also appeared. There are 12 experts of the saint realm. What do they want? A young man's face turned pale. These saint realm experts were obviously from the various races on the 100 Clan battlefield. They usually ruled their own areas, but they had actually gathered here today. Kill them all. A voice full of killing intent came from the sky. Kill. Roar. The beasts of the saint stage and the other strange races charged toward Lu Ming and the rest. Other than the 2 undead, there were a total of 10 saints who launched terrifying attacks at Lu Ming and the rest. Ah! Instantly, a heaven's favorite was blown up in the air and died. Buzz! A fearsome claw ray was aimed at Lu Ming, but he punched out and destroyed it. The scene was in a chaotic battle. Following that, a few more screams rang out as a few more geniuses were killed. A saint not only mastered laws, but also condensed saint power. Saint energy was completely different from Zhan Yuan and demonic power. It was a qualitative improvement. Saint energy was extremely powerful and could easily destroy Zhan Yuan and demonic power. Although these geniuses were powerful, unless they entered the 3rd level of the half-saint realm, they would still find it difficult to fight against a saint. Charge! Let's charge out together. Someone shouted. Facing 10 saints, they had to work together to have a chance. Kill! Lu Ming and Huang Ling dashed to the left. The other paragons gathered together and charged with Lu Ming. Roar! Roar! A few huge saint realm demonic beasts roared and charged at Lu Ming. One of them looked like a giant lizard with bone spikes all over its body. It was at least a few hundred meters long. It stretched out its huge claws and clawed at Lu Ming. This was a beast at the lower tier of the Bright Saint realm. Lu Ming threw a punch at the beast's sharp claws. Bang! Lu Ming's punch landed on the beast's sharp claws. The beast's huge body was forced to retreat. In terms of strength, he was no match for Lu Ming. The 10th Golden Crow Prince and the Tao Tai could fight with ordinary saints. With Lu Ming's combat power, he could easily suppress an ordinary Saint Realm beast. As the gigantic beast retreated, Lu Ming and the rest charged forward at top speed. Stop them! The other beasts roared loudly. A few of them in the sky also charged toward Lu Ming and the rest. Let's attack together. Die! Huang Ling shouted. The undying flame burned on her body, and a flaming phoenix rushed out toward a beast. Thunderbolts filled the air. Yi Dongfang was beside the phoenix spirit. The sky was filled with thunderbolts, forming a huge thunderbolt sword that slashed at a beast. One of the yellow-robed young men's arms suddenly grew bigger. His face was covered with rocks. He punched at the sky and blocked a saint. As for the other heaven's favorites, they gathered together and attacked with all sorts of methods. Chapter 1646. Full of doubts. Although the heaven's favorites in the second stage of the half-saint realm were slightly weaker, they were still a force to be reckoned with when they gathered together. The power of all kinds of laws intertwined and blasted into the sky. Even though the opponent was a saint, he was still forced to retreat. As for Lu Ming, he held the Chaos Sky-turning seal in his hand and threw it at the huge lizard-like beast. Bang! The lizard-like ferocious beast was hit by the Chaos Sky-turning stamp and was forced to retreat. Its skin and flesh were torn open and blood was flowing out. They took the opportunity to charge forward. Stay here! A cold voice suddenly came from the front. A huge demonic palm grabbed at them. The vast aura made Lu Ming's expression change. Great mastery of Bright Saint! Lu Ming roared angrily. The other party had even sent out a great mastery Bright Saint. They were going to kill them. Each level of the Saint Realm was divided into 4 levels. Initial, Upper, Peak, and Perfection. The gap between each level was huge, even bigger than the gap between each level of the Martial Royal Realm. Why did the saints of the various races in the 100-clan battlefield join forces to kill them? At this moment, Lu Ming and the other young men were filled with questions. However, now was not the time to be confused. The most important thing was to rush out first. Join hands with me! Lu Ming shouted. His hands were like phantoms as the chaos domain boiled. A huge chaos sky-turning seal was formed and blasted toward the huge demonic palm. On the side, Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, the yellow-robed young man, and the other powerful cultivators all joined forces. Their terrifying attacks merged into a colorful light pillar and rushed toward the demonic palm. Boom! The demonic palm was crushed immediately. Lu Ming was at the forefront. He immediately changed direction and flew at top speed. The rest of the people followed behind him. The Saint Realm experts were in hot pursuit. On the other side, the 10th Golden Crow Prince and Tao Tai had also broken through the other party's blockade and fled into the distance. Boom! On the other side, another demonic palm formed and grabbed towards them. They continued to work together and destroyed the demonic palm. They were flying forward rapidly, but the saints behind them were hot on their heels. There was also a terrifying demonic light flying toward them. The existence in the demonic light was a powerhouse at the great mastery of the Bright Saint Realm. Let's split up. Otherwise, if we're targeted like this, none of us will be able to escape. Lu Ming said. The expressions of the others changed rapidly. Well, split up. We'll only have a chance if 3 to 5 people join forces. Yi Dongfang shouted and turned into a bolt of lightning, rushing in another direction. Let's go. Then, the yellow-robed young man was also sent flying. The other 2 heaven's favorites who had reached the womb realm also flew out. Following that, the weaker ones split up into groups of 3 to 5 and fled into the distance. As for Lu Ming and Huang Ling, they flew straight ahead at top speed, raising their speed to the maximum. You guys go after those people. Leave those 2 to me. The being in the demonic light had its eyes on Lu Ming and was chasing after him. The other saints scattered and chased after the others. Buzz! Buzz! With one chasing and one escaping, Lu Ming, Huang Ling, and the existence in the ball of demonic light flew tens of thousands of miles in the blink of an eye. The ball of demonic light was approaching Lu Ming and Lin Feng at an alarming speed. Bubble! With a thought from Lu Ming, Bubbles, who was hiding in the pagoda, appeared and opened a space-time tunnel. Lu Ming and Feng Ling rushed in and appeared 10,000 miles away. Then, Bubbles continued to open the tunnel. After a few times, they completely shook off the ball of demonic light. It seems like Bubbles has also advanced. Lu Ming's heart stirred. In the Yuan continent, when Bubbles opened the space-time tunnel in the past, he could only travel a few thousand miles. Now he could travel 10,000 miles. It seemed like Bubbles had also improved during the 3 months that he had experienced 9 reincarnations. She should have reached the first stage of the half-saint realm, and her strength had increased greatly. They flew for another 100,000 miles before stopping. Why do these saints want to kill us? Is it because we entered the tomb of the reincarnation king? Huang Ling frowned and couldn't figure it out. Lu Ming shook his head. He could not figure it out either. If it was because of the tomb of the reincarnation emperor, it should be the undead race that attacked them because it was the territory of the undead race. Why were there so many races? Moreover, Lu Ming felt that the being in the last ball of magic light should be a human. In the 100-clan battlefield, the only humans who had reached the Saint Realm were the natives. Let's go back to Darkwater City first, he said. Lu Ming said. The Phoenix spirit nodded and the two of them flew towards Darkwater City. After a while, many figures gathered in front of the mountain where the tomb of the reincarnation king was. There were 2 saints from the undead race, a few powerful beasts, and other races. All 12 saints had gathered here. Damn it, those people escaped. I only killed a dozen or so. The giant lizard that was badly beaten by Lu Ming let out an angry roar. At this moment, a ball of demonic light flew over. The other saints all looked at the demonic light. The demonic light was retracted, revealing a figure. It was a human, a black-robed old man with a gloomy face. I deliberately disclosed the information of the tomb of the reincarnation emperor to these foreign talents, so that they would fight each other for the tomb. I didn't expect that these people didn't lose much after entering the tomb. What a mistake, the black-robed old man said in a low voice. What do we do now? A saint asked. Kill. We must kill him. The 100-clan battlefield belongs to us, the black-robed elder said in a cold voice. The wealth and treasures here belong to us. However, the large sects and factions outside have been sending young geniuses here for many years to plunder the wealth and kill the creatures of our various races. Even the humans who have been training outside have been killed by them. That's why we have to kill them this time. We have to kill them until the large sects in the outside world are afraid. After we kill them, they won't dare to send anyone in again. This way, the 100-clan battlefield will truly belong to us in the future. The black-robed elder's words made the other sages present angry and filled with killing intent. Well, inform all the races to hunt for foreign talents. Also, many of them will probably go to the Alliance Mountain. When the time comes, we'll ambush them there. Remember, pick the most talented ones to kill. The more talented they are, the more heartache and fear they'll feel. They won't dare to send anyone here in the future. The black-robed elder said. All right, let's do that. I'll immediately inform the other races. Ambush and kill foreign heaven's favorites. The other sages nodded and turned into streaks of light, leaving the place. All caught Lu Ming and Huang Ling flew towards Darkwater City. 2 days later, Darkwater City appeared in front of them. When the two of them entered the city gate, the soldiers guarding the city looked at them coldly, but they did not move. The soldiers guarding the gate. Something is wrong. They seem to want to attack us. Walking on the streets of Darkwater City, Huang Ling frowned. It's not just the guards. The other people on the street are also looking at me weirdly. Also, did you notice that you don't seem to see any young men who are too powerful? Lu Ming also frowned. Huang Ling sized them up and realized that the people on the street were looking at them with strange expressions. Moreover, there really weren't many young experts. Occasionally, he would see some whose cultivation wasn't very strong. It was obvious that they were local youths. It was as if the young heaven's favorites who came here to train had disappeared into thin air. Not good. I'm afraid the situation has changed. Lu Ming had a bad premonition. Let's go to the Phoenix Palace first. Huang Ling was a little anxious. The two of them rose into the air and flew toward the Phoenix Palace. Soon, they arrived at the Phoenix Palace. However, there was no one in the Phoenix Palace. The Phoenix Palace was completely empty. There was not a single disciple of the Phoenix Palace. It was as if the disciples of the Phoenix Palace had vanished into thin air. What's going on? Could it be that something had happened in the past 3 months that caused all the young sovereigns to leave Darkwater City? Or have they all withdrawn from the 100-clan battlefield? Huang Ling was very confused. On the way, she had learned from Lu Ming that they had stayed in the tomb of the Reincarnation Emperor for 3 months. Holy Maiden! At this moment, an old woman flew over and bowed to Feng Ling. You are. Huang Ling was stunned. Holy Maiden, it's me. At this moment, the old woman's form changed rapidly, turning into a young and beautiful woman. The old woman earlier was this woman in disguise. Huang Xian, it's you. What happened? Huang Ling asked. It was obvious that the young woman was a disciple of Phoenix Palace. The saintess has been captured. The other senior and junior brothers and sisters have been captured by the local experts. I was able to disguise myself and blended into the local crowd in time. That's how I escaped. Saintess, let's go. The local experts will be here soon. Huang Xian said anxiously. A native expert? Huang Ling was a little stunned. Buzz, buzz, and NBSP whoosh. At this time, a violent air-piercing sound was heard. At least a few dozen rainbow lights cut through the void and flew toward them. Dozens of powerhouses in armor descended above the Phoenix Palace in an instant, exuding a powerful aura. The dozens of people were all in the half-saint realm. More than a dozen of them were in the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm, the realm where the laws could be infused into the body. Take down all of the foreign chosen. A burly man shouted. Attack! Dozens of experts attacked immediately. They launched fierce attacks, wanting to severely injure Lu Ming and Huang Ling in one go. You're looking for death, die! Huang Ling shouted angrily. The immortal flame burned and turned into an immortal flame phoenix. It pounced forward and killed 5 or 6 half-saints with a flap of its wings. On the other hand, Lu Ming threw more than a dozen punches in a row. Each punch sent a fist radiance flying through the air. Each fist radiance could blow up an expert in the air. To Lu Ming, there was no difference whether it was the law tank or the 2nd stage of the half-saint. He could kill an ordinary half-saint in one move. Evil creature, you're looking for death. At this time, a loud shout came from the depths of Darkwater City, and a terrifying aura shot up into the sky. Oh no, it's a sage. Let's rush out first. Huang Ling's expression changed. All right, Lu Ming said. Then, he used the Thunderwind steps and appeared in front of a local half-saint in a flash. He reached out and grabbed the man's throat. Then, he carried the burly man and rushed out of the Darkwater City with Huang Ling and Huang Xian. In the depths of Darkwater City, an elder rushed out and slashed out a terrifying sword light. This was an expert in the initial sacred brightness realm. Lu Ming threw a punch and destroyed the sword light. Huang Ling used her vital essence to carry Huang Xian, and the 3 of them rushed out of Darkwater City at top speed. In a short while, he rushed out of Darkwater City and rushed into the distance. In Darkwater City, the old man in the sage realm seemed to be a little afraid and did not pursue. Lu Ming and the rest only stopped after flying for a long time. Lu Ming sealed the cultivation of the local half-saint and threw him on the ground. Huang Xian, what's going on? Huang Ling asked. I don't know either. About a month ago, the locals suddenly launched an attack. Many of the saints attacked the talents of the foreign forces. Many of them were killed. Many of our Phoenix Palace died as well. The others were captured, and some of them escaped the city. Huang Xian explained. What are the races on the 100-clan battlefield trying to do? Huang Ling's eyes were burning with flames. They had also been attacked by the saints of various races in the 100-clan battlefield after coming out of the tomb of the Reincarnation Emperor. Was this all a coincidence? Well, no, if we ask this guy. Lu Ming stepped on the local half-saint's dantian and said, Speak, why did you attack us? Ha ha ha, don't you know your own limits? The 100-clan battlefield belongs to the various races of the 100-clan battlefield. You outsiders, there are always people coming in to plunder the treasures here and kill the people of the various races. You all deserve to die. This time, the various races of the 100-clan battlefield have joined forces to kill all of you so that the large sects in the outside world will never dare to send anyone here again. The local half-saint laughed wildly. I see. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. It seemed like the native races held a deep grudge against the foreign heavens favorites. They must have planned this for a long time to kill them. It didn't matter how strong the large sects and factions outside were. Experts above the Saint realm couldn't enter the 100-clan battlefield. As a result, they could only give up on the 100-clan battlefield, a place where geniuses were trained. Tell me, Where are the people you captured hiding? Huang Ling asked. There's no harm in telling you. Those who were caught in the Alliance Mountain were all taken there, including the disciples of your Phoenix Palace. They'll all be killed there and sacrificed to our ancestors. Haha. The local half-saint laughed. Meng Mountain. Huang Ling frowned. She then looked at Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, I'm going to Meng Mountain to save the disciples of Phoenix Palace. I'll take my leave now. They had formed an alliance because of the tomb of the Samsara Emperor. Now that the trip to the tomb of the Samsara Emperor was over, their alliance was naturally over. Huang Ling, I'm afraid this is a trap set by the native races. It's probably very dangerous to go to the Alliance Mountain. Lu Ming said. I know, but I can't just leave so many disciples of Phoenix Palace. Phoenix Spirit sighed. Killing a saint stage ferocious beast. Those who could enter the 100-clan battlefield were all geniuses, and most of them had superior earth spiritual bodies. If they all died here, the Phoenix Palace would suffer a great loss. She was the Phoenix Palace's saintess, so she had to be saved. I'll go with you. Lu Ming smiled faintly. You're coming with me? Huang Ling was stunned. An extra person, an extra helper. Why? Are you touched? Lu Ming said with a smile. Many thanks. Huang Ling cupped her fists. All right, then let's set off to the Alliance Mountain. This is also a training experience, but this time, our opponents have changed to saints. Lu Ming laughed heroically. Then his vital essence burst forth and killed the local half-saint. After that, Lu Ming, Huang Ling, and Huang Xian headed for the Union Mountain. Huang Ling had been in the 100-clan battlefield for a long time, so she naturally knew where the Alliance Mountain was. Alliance Mountain was the place where all the races of the 100-clan battlefield gathered. Every once in a while, the various races of the 100-tribe battlefield would gather at the Alliance Mountain to discuss matters. A day later, the three of them had already covered a long distance. Boom! Boom! Suddenly, a violent explosion came from the front. The sky rumbled loudly, and the sky was filled with lightning. Roar! Following that, there was a roar and a sword chi that broke through the air and shot into the clouds. There, a terrifying battle was taking place. Let's go take a look. Lu Ming said. The three of them concealed their auras and flew into the sky. The fluctuations in front of him were very shocking. There were two mighty beams of saintly might that filled the sky. It's him, Yi Dongfeng. Not long after, Lu Ming saw the people engaged in a great battle. One of them was Yi Dongfeng. In addition, there were two experts besieging Yi Dongfeng. One of them was a giant lizard-like beast with bone spikes all over its body. It was the beast that had fought with Lu Ming outside the tomb of the Samsara Emperor. The other one was a human saint. He was in existence at the initial Bright Saint realm. In reality, it was extremely difficult to break through to the Saint realm in the 100-clan battlefield. As a result, most of the saints in the 100-clan battlefield were initial Bright Saints. You can't escape. Today you must die. The giant lizard beast roared and its claws were like mountains as it attacked Yi Dongfeng. The human saint's sword light bloomed, and it was extremely terrifying. He kept slashing at Yi Dongfeng. Yi Dongfeng was strong, but he was no match for two saints alone. He was in a bad shape, his hair disheveled, his body covered in blood, and his breath weak. He let out a long roar as if he had transformed into a god of thunder. Terrifying power of thunder filled the air, and the laws of thunder burst forth as he fought with the two saints. The thick lightning sometimes swept across a mountain, and the mountain would directly collapse. However, a saint was just as terrifying. His saint power was unparalleled. With one strike, he could obliterate the power of the lightning laws. Save Yi Dongfeng, Lu Ming said. All right. Huang Ling nodded. Yi Dongfeng was a decent man, and they were still too weak to go to the Meng Mountains. If they could get Yi Dongfeng to help them, they would be even stronger. Leave the giant lizard to me. You and Yi Dongfeng will deal with the human warrior, Lu Ming said. The Phoenix Spirit nodded and let Huang Xian stay here. Huang Xian could not interfere in a battle of this level. Sila! Lu Ming activated the thundering wind steps. With a flash of wind and thunder, his figure dashed out rapidly towards the giant lizard beast. The black dragon spear appeared in Lu Ming's hands and he flung it out abruptly. Like a bolt of lightning, it tore through the air and stabbed at the giant lizard beast. Lu Ming's spirit body was very powerful now. When he threw the spear, It was covered with the ultimate chaos domain. The terrifying sound of the spear breaking through the air made the giant lizard beast feel frightened. Roar! The giant lizard beast roared and ignored Yi Dongfang. It slapped the black dragon spear with its scale-covered palm. The black dragon spear pierced through the scales on the giant lizard beast's claws, all the way to the handle. The giant lizard beast's palm was bleeding profusely. It let out an explosive roar, and at this moment, Lu Ming had already arrived. "It's you!" The giant lizard beast roared angrily, a hint of fear in its eyes. He was very clear about Lu Ming's combat strength. "This time I'll kill you," Lu Ming said coldly. A chaos sky-turning stamp formed in his palm and suppressed the lizard beast. The giant lizard roared and fought back with all its might. However, after colliding with the primal chaos heaven flipping seal, its huge body trembled and it retreated continuously. "Kill!" Lu Ming shouted. A chaos sky-turning stamp appeared in each of his hands and he smashed it at the giant lizard beast. Boom! Boom! The two consecutive attacks made it difficult for the giant lizard to stand in the air. It was smashed to the ground, causing dust to fly everywhere. On the other side, Lu Ming's participation jolted Yi Dongfang's spirit. The power of lightning spread all over his body, and he focused all his attention on the human saint. At this time, Huang Ling had also arrived and joined forces with Yi Dongfang. The human saint was immediately at a disadvantage. "You're the one who's going to die today." Yi Dongfang seemed like he was going to explode with anger. He attacked the human saint like a storm. With the help of Huang Ling, the human saint was hit by a bolt of lightning. Even his saint power protection was penetrated, and he spat out blood. "Damn it!" The human saint shouted angrily and wanted to retreat. However, neither Huang Ling nor Yi Dongfang was weaker than him. He couldn't get out at the moment. On the other side, Lu Ming had already completely suppressed the giant lizard beast. He rushed onto the back of the giant lizard beast and used the prison suppression heaven technique. His vital essence surged into the flowing essence gloves in a frenzy and blasted the back of the giant lizard beast. Boom! As the punch landed, scales flew everywhere and a huge hole was blasted on the back of the giant lizard beast. Even its bone armor was broken. Its huge body heavily smashed into the ground, creating a huge pit. Roar! The giant lizard beast howled in pain. Its saint energy condensed into a terrifying attack, trying to blast Lu Ming off its back. At this moment, more than 10 holy weapons appeared on Lu Ming's body. Like the black wings, a shield holy weapon blocked the lizard beast's attack. Lu Ming grabbed a holy weapon sword and stabbed it into the wound on the lizard beast. The sword chi exploded and pierced deep into the lizard beast's body. Then, Lu Ming's power burst out and he cut horizontally. Sila! The giant lizard beast's body was almost cut in half, and blood flowed all over the ground. Roar! The giant lizard beast roared as its huge body rolled on the ground. Lu Ming soared into the sky. In the sky, an exceptionally huge chaos sky-turning seal condensed. This was the chaos sky-turning seal at its full power. Boom! The 100% power of the primal chaos sky-turning seal pressed down on the giant lizard beast and smashed into it. Although the giant lizard beast tried its best to counterattack, it was useless. It was already severely injured, so how could it block the 100% power of the chaos sky-turning seal? Alliance Mountain, joining hands. The ground exploded, and gravel flew everywhere. A huge pit appeared on the ground. When the primal chaos sky-turning seal disappeared, the giant lizard beast lay in the deep pit like a pool of mud. There was no sign of life. The Saint Stage lizard beast was dead. It was killed by Lu Ming. On the other battlefield, the human saint was terrified when he saw this. He was almost scared to death. He could kill a saint before he became a saint. Even though he was a member of the 100 Clan battlefield and had seen countless foreign prodigies since he was young, it was still extremely rare for someone to have such a battle record. For example, geniuses like Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, and the Golden Crow 10th Prince who had reached the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm could only fight with ordinary saints. It was impossible to kill them, unless it was an even stronger heaven's favorite. But now, Lu Ming had done it. Even Yi Dongfang and Huang Ling were shocked. Even though they came from a huge emperor-ranked power and had seen many things, such a battle record was extremely rare. Most importantly, Lu Ming was only at the 1st stage of the half-saint realm. If he could reach the 2nd stage of the half-saint realm, comprehend the laws, or even reach the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm, how terrifying would his combat power be? The saint tried his best to break out of the encirclement, but he was entangled by Huang Ling and Yi Dongfeng. He was hit by Huang Ling and almost burned half of his body. With a wave of his hand, the black dragon spear that had pierced into the giant lizard beast's palm flew out and was put away by Lu Ming. He then looked around and finally found a storage ring in the giant lizard beast's mouth. Then, step by step, he walked toward the human saint, which made the human saint's heart turn cold. 12 saint weapons surrounded Lu Ming. He held the black dragon spear and charged at the human saint like a bolt of black lightning. There was no longer any suspense in this battle. With Lu Ming's participation, the human saint's fate was sealed. In the end, it let out an indignant roar and was killed by Lu Ming and the other two. As for the human saint's storage ring, Huang Ling and Yi Dongfeng did not take it. They said that it was Lu Ming's credit, so Lu Ming naturally took it without any hesitation. "Brother Lu, Miss Feng Ling, thank you for saving me." Yi Dong saluted Lu Ming and Feng Ling, his eyes filled with gratitude. If not for Lu Ming and Huang Ling, he would have been surrounded by 2 saints and would have been in danger. "It's nothing, no need to be so polite. Brother Yi, where are you going next?" Lu Ming asked. "I was planning to go to the Alliance Mountain. I heard that many disciples of the Thunder God sect are imprisoned there. I was going to save them, but I didn't expect to be attacked by 2 saints." Yi Dongfeng said. "Haha, that's great. We're going to Meng Mountain too. How about we work together?" Lu Ming said with a smile. Yi Dongfeng's eyes lit up and he said in joy, "That's great, I can't ask for more." The 4 of them immediately left and flew towards the Meng Mountains. Although Yi Dongfeng was slightly injured, it was not particularly serious. With his thunder attribute heavenly spirit body, his vitality was extremely strong, and he could heal his injuries while flying. Another day passed, and a majestic mountain appeared in front of the 4. The mountain was huge, lush, and full of towering trees. This was the Alliance Mountain. The 4 of them didn't approach. Instead, they hid in the clouds and watched from a distance. With their eyesight, they could clearly see the situation on the mountain even from a distance. At the top of the mountain there was a flat piece of land. Many young people were sitting on it. At a glance, there were at least 1,000 of them. They were all prodigies from various sects and powers who had entered the 100-clan battlefield. "A disciple of Phoenix Palace," Huang Ling said softly. Among the crowd, she saw about 20 Phoenix Palace disciples. At the same time, Yi Dongfeng also discovered the disciples of Thunder God Palace. There were powerhouses standing guard around these young men. There were humans and terrifying alien races, 1 in each direction. There were 4 of them in total, and they were obviously all saints. In other areas of the mountain, there were also figures moving, but they were all below the saint realm. Only 4 sage realm experts? A flash of lightning appeared in Yi Dongfeng's eyes, but he did not act rashly. The various races of the 100-clan battlefield have been planning this for a long time. Their main goal is to kill a large number of prodigies. But now, there are so many people imprisoned here. They're clearly trying to lure us here for an ambush. I'm guessing that there are many powerful existences hidden in the dark. Lu Ming speculated. Yes. Otherwise, we wouldn't have known that they were being escorted here so easily. I'm afraid that the locals have already received the news. As long as we ask, they will tell us the news. Huang Ling also nodded. Then what should we do? We can't just sit here and do nothing. After a few days, the other party might really make a move. Yi Dongfeng said anxiously. I have an idea, but we don't have enough people. We still need some help. After pondering for a moment, Lu Ming said, there are many disciples of the sects and forces who have been captured here. There will definitely be others coming to rescue them. We will contact them secretly and attack together, said Huang Ling. The 4 of them observed for a while, then retreated to a cloud in the distance to observe from a distance. In another direction of Lu Ming's group of 4, 2 figures in golden robes stood in a mass of clouds. One of them was the 10th Golden Crow Prince, and the other was also a member of the Golden Crow race. Crown Prince, what do we do now? There are more than a dozen people in my clan. If they capture us, should we save them or not? The Golden Crow race member asked. Save? How? The other side has many experts and is obviously waiting for us to take the bait. In order to save them, we put ourselves in danger. Do you think it's worth it? The Golden Crow 10th Prince said coldly. And NBSP, the Golden Crow race member, lowered his head and didn't speak. Let's go. Leave the 100-clan battlefield. The 10th Golden Crow Prince said coldly. He then retreated and disappeared. Following that, more and more people came to watch from afar. However, there were some who did the same thing as the Golden Crow 10th Prince and immediately backed out. There were others who were unwilling to give up and paced back and forth in the surroundings, hiding and watching from a distance. Lu Ming and the other 3 flew toward a mountain peak where 4 young geniuses were. Who is it? The 4 of them looked at Lu Ming and the rest at the same time. It's you guys. The 4 of them were stunned. Xia Ding, the 4 of you should also want to save him, right? Lu Ming stepped forward. The 4 of them were Xia Ding and the other 3 who had attacked Lu Ming and Huang Ling in an attempt to steal the map and key to the tomb of the Samsara King. Not bad. Xia Ding stared at Lu Ming and said cautiously. Lu Ming's current combat strength was extremely shocking. If he were to take revenge and attack them, the 4 of them would not be a match for Lu Ming even if they joined forces. How about we join forces? We also want to save people. Lu Ming said. Join hands. Xia Ding and the other 3's gazes flickered before they turned to look at Huang Ling and Yi Dongfeng. All right, we agree to join hands. After a moment of silence, Xia Ding nodded his head. Chapter 1650. Saving people. Just like that, Lu Ming's team had 4 more people. In the next 2 days, Lu Ming and the group wandered around and invited some people to join forces. For example, the yellow-robed young man and another strong cultivator were no weaker than Yi Dongfeng. There were also a few other Heaven's favorites who were slightly weaker. In this way, they added up to more than a dozen people. For example, there were 4 people at the level of Yi Dongfeng and Huang Ling. Lu Ming, what is your plan? Huang Ling could not help but ask Lu Ming. I have a technique that can change my aura. I'll disguise myself as a native and approach the top of the mountain. Then you guys pretend to attack and attract some experts. I'll rush in and save those who need to be saved. Then, we'll break out of the siege together. Lu Ming said. Are you sure no one can recognize your aura-changing technique? Some people were skeptical. Lu Ming smiled. He activated the illusionary breath technique and the aura on his body changed to be exactly the same as that person. The expressions of the people present changed drastically. There was actually such a mystical secret technique. Lu Ming smiled. The illusionary breathing technique that he had obtained in the Divine Wilderness continent back then was indeed amazing. Even now it was still very useful. As long as his cultivation level doesn't exceed mine by too much, he won't be able to sense it. It shouldn't be a problem to hide from a few bright sages for a short time. Lu Ming said. All right, let's do that. Yi Dongfeng waved his hand, and a hint of fighting intent appeared in his eyes. The others agreed one after another. This method was better than directly attacking. Wait for me in the distance. When I'm close to the peak, I'll send a message to Feng Ling that's the time to attack. Lu Ming said. The others nodded in succession. Then, Lu Ming landed on the ground. The Chaos Domain transformed into the Earth Domain. Lu Ming's body sank into the ground and disappeared. Lu Ming shuttled through the ground, completely concealing his aura as he headed for the Union Mountain. As Lu Ming approached the Union Mountain, he picked a local who was at the 9th level Martial Royal Realm and killed him in an instant. Then, Lu Ming changed his clothes and changed his appearance rapidly. In the end, he looked exactly the same as the other person, even his aura. After throwing the corpse into a cave, Lu Ming swaggered to the peak. Naturally, there were no obstacles along the way. Very soon, Lu Ming arrived at the top of the mountain. In front of him, a huge blood-red tiger suddenly opened its eyes. Its lightning-like gaze fell on Lu Ming, as if it wanted to see through him. The blood-red tiger was one of the 4 saints who were guarding the mountain. What are you doing here? The blood-red tiger opened its mouth, and a saint's might emanated from it. Its aura was oppressive. Senior, I have important news to report to you. Lu Ming said. What news? The blood-red tiger said. This. Lu Ming hesitated for a moment. He looked left and right on purpose. He held a voice transmission jade talisman in his hand, and secretly sent a message to Huang Ling. In the distance, in a cloud, Huang Ling received Lu Ming's message. Lu Ming has sent out the news. Let's do it, said Huang Ling instantly. More than a dozen figures rushed towards Meng Mountain at extreme speed. The air whistled and released a terrifying aura. They finally made their move. The blood-red tiger sneered and looked in the direction of Huang Ling and the others, but it did not move. Boom! Boom! At this moment, terrifying auras shot up into the sky from the Union Mountain. The holy might was vast, and 10 different figures rushed out. There were indeed terrifying experts lying in ambush here. 10 saints charged towards Huang Ling and the others. Not good. There are too many experts on the other side. Retreat! Retreat! Huang Ling shouted and they retreated quickly. Don't let them get away! Some of the saints roared, and the 10 saints chased after Huang Ling. Humph, this time, I'm going to leave all of them behind. The blood-red tiger sneered, then looked at Lu Ming. What did you want to report? Senior, what I want to say is that there are other people who have sneaked in. Lu Ming said. Who is it? The blood-red tiger's eyes shone with golden light. That is, Lu Ming suddenly let out a loud roar. He stomped on the ground, causing the ground to crack. Lu Ming's figure charged towards the blood-red tiger, and he threw a punch at the blood-red tiger. Lu Ming had used almost all his strength in this punch. The blood-red tiger did not expect that Lu Ming would suddenly attack. It wanted to dodge, but it was too late. The punch landed squarely on the tiger's head. Even though the tiger was a Saint Realm expert, it could not withstand the blow. Its entire head exploded and its body flew out. Buzz! Lu Ming rushed over immediately. The space between his brows glowed and the mountain and river diagram appeared. A beam of light descended and enveloped the disciples of the Phoenix Palace. The disciples of Phoenix Palace were sucked into the mountain and river diagram. Then, the light of the mountain and river diagram turned again, and the disciples of the Thunder God sect were also taken in. You're looking for death. Kill him. At this moment, the saints who were guarding the other directions finally reacted. They were furious and rushed toward Lu Ming. Collect, collect, collect. Lu Ming controlled the mountain and river diagram and frantically kept the young men. A pagoda appeared above his head. Bubbles cast the space-time domain and 3 transparent bubbles suddenly enveloped the 3 saints, causing them to stop in mid-air. Bubbles had already reached the half-saint stage and was extremely powerful. When she used her space-time domain, it was enough to affect a saint. By the time the 3 saints broke free of the space-time domain's influence, Lu Ming had already taken away more than half of the youths on the mountaintop. Kill, kill! A loud shout came from the Union Mountain. A beam of demonic light shot out and a black-robed elder appeared, exuding a terrifying aura. It's him! Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. This black-robed old man had fought outside the tomb of the Samsara Emperor. He was a great sage and was extremely powerful. Lu Ming was not his match yet. Let's go! Lu Ming put away the mountain and river diagram and dashed into the distance. Save us, save us! The remaining young men shouted madly, and among them were the Golden Crow race. However, Lu Ming's eyes were cold. He could not be bothered with these people. Furthermore, the elites of these sects had already retreated on their own, such as the 10th Golden Crow Prince. Why would Lu Ming save them? The people that Lu Ming had saved were those who had joined forces with them. Stay here. The black-robed elder's killing intent was extremely strong. Demonic chi soared to the sky as a huge palm print came crashing down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming got Bubbles to open a space-time tunnel and he rushed into it. When he reappeared, he was already near Huang Ling and the rest. Let's go! The group of people gathered and flew forward at high speed. However, the next moment, Lu Ming and the rest had a drastic change of expression. Because a few auras rose up in front of him. They were extremely terrifying auras. Breaking out of the encirclement and returning to the tomb of King Samsara. Boom! 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 In front of him, there were a total of 10 auras, like smoke signals, extremely terrifying. The most shocking thing was that 4 of the auras were no weaker than the black-robed elder. They were not ordinary saints, but perfected bright saints. One of them even had a world-shaking aura, much stronger than a great bright saint. A peak bright saint. Many people's faces turned pale. This time, the other party had sent a peak bright saint, 4 in the upper tier of the bright saint realm, and more than 10 in the lower tier. Such a lineup was too terrifying. If they were surrounded, they would only have a path of death. They would not have any chance. All of you, enter my mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming roared and summoned the mountain and river diagram. With so many people, they would definitely not be able to rush out. If Lu Ming was alone, it might be possible. The others did not resist. Lu Ming's combat strength surpassed theirs. If Lu Ming could not break out, they would not be able to either. In an instant, everyone was kept into the mountain and river diagram by Lu Ming. Then, Lu Ming used the thundering wind steps, changed his direction, and dashed out like a bolt of lightning. This kid has a grotto heaven treasure. Don't let him escape. A furious roar rang out. More than 20 sages chased after Lu Ming frantically. Among them, the powerhouse at the peak of the Bright Saint realm was the fastest. He took the lead and quickly chased after Lu Ming. Behind him, the 4 great perfected Bright Saints, including the black-robed elder, followed closely. No matter how amazing the thundering wind steps was and how fast he was, Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the first stage of the half-saint realm. He was still far behind the mastery of the Bright Saint realm or even the peak of the Bright Saint realm. Hence, he was still slower. Buzz! The powerhouse at the peak of the Bright Saint realm was approaching Lu Ming at an alarming speed. A terrifying saber light slashed out from this person's hand, aiming at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's expression changed. He was definitely not a match for a peak Bright Saint. At this moment, the bubbles opened a space-time tunnel. Lu Ming rushed into the space-time tunnel and appeared thousands of miles away. Space-time domain, damn it! The powerhouse at the peak of the Bright Saint stage roared. The aura on his body rumbled and his speed suddenly increased. He turned into a stream of light and rushed toward Lu Ming, traveling thousands of miles in an instant. So fast. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. He flew at high speed, but not long after, the other party closed the distance between them. Lu Ming had no choice but to let bubbles open the space-time tunnel again. Just like that, after a few more times, the other saints had already left him in the dust. However, the peak Bright Saint was still following closely behind. We can't continue like this. Lu Ming's mind kept spinning. It consumed a lot of energy for bubbles to open the space-time tunnel. It was impossible for them to open it continuously. At most, they could open it for more than 10 times before their energy was exhausted. The space-time tunnel could only be used to save one's life at a critical moment, but it was unrealistic to use it to travel. At this rate, the other party would catch up to Lu Ming before he could rush out of the 100-clan battlefield. Let's go to the tomb of the Reincarnation King. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He had no choice but to go to the tomb of the Reincarnation Emperor and try his best. If it did not work, Lu Ming could only use the Reincarnation Halberd. However, the Reincarnation Halberd only had 2 streams of energy. If it was used at full force, it could kill anyone below the Emperor realm. It was too precious. It was a waste to use it on a person at the peak of the Bright Saint realm. Lu Ming was definitely not willing to use it unless he had no other choice. Lu Ming immediately changed his direction and flew towards the tomb of the Reincarnation King. Fortunately, they were not too far away from the tomb of the Samsara Emperor. Every time Lu Ming was almost caught up by the other party, he would ask Bubbles to open the space-time tunnel and increase the distance between them. Then, he would fly on his own to give Bubbles time to recover. When the other party approached, he would open a space-time tunnel and increase the distance. Just like that, one chased and the other chased. Boundless mountains and rivers flitted past under their feet. After an unknown period of time, just as the Bubbles' energy was about to be exhausted, a huge mountain that had been split into 2 appeared in front of them. They had arrived at the tomb of the Reincarnation King. Lu Ming's eyes brightened and he rushed straight into the passage. A strong pressure pressed down on him and he strode forward. It didn't take long for the peak Bright Saint to arrive and rush into the passage. Bang! He was caught off guard as the terrifying pressure pressed down on him. Even with his cultivation at the peak of a Bright Saint, he fell directly to the ground and almost fell flat on his face. Boom! The expert at the peak of the Bright Saint stage was boiling with saint power. He wanted to break through the pressure and catch up with Lu Ming, but it was of no use. It seemed that the stronger his cultivation was, the stronger the pressure he faced. In the end, his face was flushed red, and he could only step forward and chase after Lu Ming. Just like that, the 2 of them advanced through the passageway. Very quickly, a day had passed. A day had passed, but the passage was still boundless. Lu Ming's heart stirred. When they came out, they had completed this passageway in a day. However, a day had passed and the road ahead was still long. Could it be that it took half a month to go in, but only a day to come out? Very soon, Lu Ming's guess was confirmed. Time passed day by day, and they still hadn't reached the end of the passage. The peak Bright Saint was a thin middle-aged man. His expression was extremely gloomy, But he was an old monster who had lived for a long time and was naturally very patient. Time flew by, and half a month had passed. They had finally reached the end of the passage. Lu Ming crossed the passage and entered the graveyard. The graveyard glowed instantly and shadows appeared, attacking Lu Ming. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming threw a few punches in succession, crushing a few shadows before he dashed forward quickly. Not long after, a peak bright saint also rushed through the passage and entered the graveyard. However, just as the peak bright saint stepped into the area of the graves began to glow with a brilliant light. The power of laws surged and the shadows almost materialized. Saint Realm die. The illusionary image of a firebull let out a long roar and stomped down with blazing flames. The face of the expert at the peak of the bright Saint Realm changed drastically. He struck out with his blade, but the blade light shattered. The firebull stepped on his chest, and the expert at the peak of the bright Saint Realm screamed in pain. His body flew far away, and blood spurted out of his mouth. His chest had been blown apart. If it weren't for his profound cultivation and strong vitality, he would have died. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. When the other party had charged in, why did the laws on the tombs suddenly go berserk? They had unleashed a terrifying attack that had severely injured a peak bright saint. Could it be that we can't enter the Saint Realm here? Once someone enters the Saint Realm, it will trigger the law above the tomb? Lu Ming's imagination ran wild. This was truly a pleasant surprise. He had originally wanted to enter the land of reincarnation to avoid the other party's pursuit, but now it seemed that there was no need. Haha, old man, if you have the ability, then come and chase me. Lu Ming could not help but burst out laughing. Little bastard. Just you wait. Unless you hide in there forever. The peak bright sage glared at Lu Ming angrily and looked at the graves with fear. Then, he turned around and left for the passage. Array Dao laws, this guy will definitely block me at the entrance of the passage. There will be other Sage Realm experts as well. Lu Ming watched the other party leave and pondered in his heart. Now, he could only stay here for a while. Lu Ming walked deeper into the tombs and soon arrived at the intersection. On both sides of the road, above the two tombs, the shadow of a true dragon and the shadow of a phoenix appeared. The two shadows were very powerful. However, with Lu Ming's current combat strength, with the help of his clone and bubbles, he managed to rush past them and arrived at the Yellow Spring River. At this point, Lu Ming summoned the mountain and river diagram. The mountain and river diagram glowed, and Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, and the others, as well as those who were saved by Lu Ming, all appeared by the Yellow Spring River. This place. Is it the tomb of the Reincarnation King? Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, and the others recognized this place as soon as they came out. As for those who had never come in, they looked around in confusion. When they saw the Yellow Spring River, their faces turned ugly. Yes, this is the tomb of the Reincarnation King. Lu Ming's expression was grave. It looks like we'll have to spend the rest of our days here. The other party is too powerful. With my cultivation, I can't shake him off. I can only hide here for now. It's already not bad to be able to reach this point. What plans do you have next? After Huang Ling finished speaking, she looked at Lu Ming. Not only was Lu Ming's combat strength shocking, but he was also very resourceful and meticulous. He had left a deep impression on her. Cultivate and improve. We'll charge out when we're strong enough. Lu Ming said. This time, Lu Ming had saved nearly 500 people. Most of these people were Heaven's favorites with upper-grade Earth spiritual bodies, and there were also people with Heaven spiritual bodies. As long as their strength improved one more step, they would be able to join forces and charge out. We can cultivate here without worry. The local saints won't be able to enter. Lu Ming told them about the changes in the grave and everyone was relieved. Lu Ming, no matter what, it's all thanks to you this time. Otherwise, we definitely wouldn't have been able to save her. Huang Ling said sincerely. That's right. This time, it's all thanks to Lu Ming. Regardless of whether I can escape successfully or not, I, Yi Dongfang, will remember this favor. Yi Dongfang said. Lu Ming, it's our fault for attacking you back then. I hope you don't take it to heart. Xia Ding and the other three stepped forward and thanked Lu Ming. It's fine. I promise to help Feng Ling save the people of the Phoenix Palace. Saving you is just a convenient way. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Following that, everyone split up in groups of 2 or 3, looking for a place to cultivate. Lu Ming returned to the Bridge of Helplessness, but Meng Pa was nowhere to be seen. Lu Ming sized up the vortex and did not jump down in the end. He sat cross-legged on the bridge and devoured the rough stones to regulate his breathing. When Lu Ming's cultivation had recovered, he entered the mountain and river diagram and went to the path understanding ancient tree. Previously, when Lu Ming put Huang Ling and the others into the mountain and river diagram, he had hidden it well. Therefore, Huang Ling and the others did not see Lu Ming's path understanding ancient tree. After all, the path understanding ancient tree was too precious. There would be unnecessary trouble if someone saw it. As for the mountain and river diagram, although it was precious, everyone present was a heaven's favorite of an emperor-ranked force. Naturally, they had seen similar grotto heaven treasures before and were not too surprised. Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the path understanding ancient tree, quietly comprehending the path and comprehending the chaos realm. He hoped that he could cultivate the chaos realm into chaos laws as soon as possible. As long as he cultivated the chaos realm into the chaos laws and entered the second stage of the half-saint realm, Lu Ming's strength would skyrocket. By then, he would have no fear when he faced the existences at the great mastery of the bright saint realm. He was confident that he could even withstand a few moves from an expert at the peak of the bright saint realm. At that time, his chances of escaping would increase greatly. At the same time, he was also cultivating his second body. He had already lit 10 spirit lamps to refine his second body. Next, he would also use inscriptions to communicate with the laws and enter the second stage of the half-saint realm. Bubbles was also in the midst of her cultivation. It was the same for the others. In this area, no one would disturb them, and everyone was focused on improving their strength. Outside, there were Saint Realm experts from various races. Everyone was under great pressure. With great pressure they could improve faster and turn the pressure into strength. Day after day, time flew by. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. The inscription refining secondary body had been cultivated to the limit. It seemed that he could communicate with the laws at any time and enter the second stage of the half-saint realm. However, at this moment, Lu Ming had to consider which law was the best for the inscription refinement clone to cultivate. In the saint realm, one could only control one kind of law. When one broke through to the saint realm, one would use the law as the foundation and condense the saint heart. In the Tao of inscription, one could use inscriptions to borrow the energy of heaven and earth. Of course, one could also use this to comprehend the laws. However, most of those laws were ordinary laws, such as metal, wood, water, fire, and so on. However, there were 3 extremely powerful laws in the Tao of inscription. They were the laws of Array Tao, Weapon Tao, and Pill Tao. These 3 laws were extremely powerful. Mastering each of them was extremely terrifying and difficult to comprehend. They were supreme laws in the hearts of those who cultivated the Tao of inscription. Even if it couldn't be compared to the chaos laws, it was still a powerful law close to the chaos laws. Lu Ming's ambition was to comprehend one of the laws. Which one should he comprehend? It was the Array Tao laws. In the end, Lu Ming made up his mind. The laws of Array Tao could evolve into endless offensive and defensive techniques. They were ever-changing and endless. Legend had it that after someone had comprehended the Array Tao laws, they would use the Array Tao laws to derive the Destruction Array Tao, the Destruction Array Tao, and so on. They all had terrifying abilities that could destroy the heavens and earth. Although the Array Tao laws were extremely difficult to comprehend, Lu Ming had the Tai Chi formation disc, which seemed to contain the Array Tao laws. After choosing the direction, he began to cultivate again. In the blink of an eye, another 3 months had passed. It had been 4 months since they entered the tomb of the Reincarnation King. At this moment, the second body was at the critical moment of cultivation. In the mountain and river diagram, 10 golden spiritual lamps appeared on top of Ming Lian's head. They formed a golden pillar of fire that shot into the sky as if it was trying to communicate with the law. The Tai Chi disc array floated in the air, emitting a strange light that fell on Lu Ming. Buzz! At this moment, a strange power descended from the sky and landed on the body of the clone. At that moment, dense runes appeared on the body of the clone. These runes were similar to inscriptions, but they were of a much higher grade. This was the embodiment of the Array Tao law. Lu Ming and the rest had comprehended the Array Tao law. Buzz! Lu Ming suddenly stood up and struck out with his palm. Dense runes appeared on his palm and formed a dazzling combat sword. He slashed forward and a sword chi split a small hill into 2. Then he took a step forward, and runes appeared. They condensed into a true dragon that flew out. Amazing! Is this the Array Dao law? Lu Ming's eyes flashed with surprise. The law of chaos. Phoenix's nirvana laws were invisible and intangible, but they truly existed. After cultivators comprehended the laws, their every move contained the power of the laws, and their might was astonishing. He had reached the second stage of the half-saint realm by refining his second body. The next step would be to reach the third stage of the half-saint realm. At that time, he could start to break through to the saint realm. The breakthrough of the inscription-refined secondary body had undoubtedly made Lu Ming's strength increase greatly. However, this was not enough. Lu Ming's main body had yet to break through. Next, he continued to cultivate the inscription secondary body and familiarized himself with the use of the Array Dao laws. Time flew by and days went by. Many people had made breakthroughs during this period of time. Many heaven's favorites with superior earth spiritual bodies who used to be at the first stage of the half-saint realm had broken through a level and entered the second stage of the half-saint realm. Many of those who were originally at the second stage of the half-saint realm had entered the third stage of the half-saint realm. Most importantly, Xia Ding and the other heaven spiritual body prodigies, who were originally in the second stage of the half-saint realm, had also broken through and reached the third stage of the half-saint realm, the realm where the laws could be infused into the body. In this way, their combat strength increased greatly and they were no weaker than Huang Ling, Yi Dongfang, and the others. Yi Dongfang and the others were already in the third stage of the half-saint realm. They had reached the limit of the half-saint realm during this period of time. If they were outside the 100-tribe battlefield, they could have made a breakthrough to the saint realm. All in all, their strength had increased by a large margin. They were waiting for Lu Ming to come out of seclusion. As long as Lu Ming came out of seclusion, they would be able to rush out together. About a month after his second Bodis breakthrough, Bubbles had also broken through. Her space-time domain had transformed into space-time law. Previously, Lu Ming had asked Huang Ling and the others about the 10 strongest laws in the world. The law of chaos was known as the Emperor of the Myriad laws, so was naturally one of the 10 strongest laws. The law of reincarnation was also one of the 10 strongest laws in the world. And NBSP, the space-time law, controlled time and space, and was also one of the 10 strongest laws. Therefore, it was extremely difficult to cultivate the space-time laws. Even Bubbles, who was born with the ability to control space-time and had the space-time spinel given by the Titan longhorn beetle, had taken a long time to successfully cultivate it, comprehend the space-time laws, and enter the second stage of the half-saint realm. At this stage, Bubbles' combat power had undergone a qualitative change and reached a terrifying level. Lu Ming was still cultivating under the path understanding ancient tree. The step from the chaos domain to the chaos laws was extremely difficult to cross. Back then, the reincarnation emperor had given Lu Ming a wisp of true chi of chaos. After Lu Ming refined it, not only did it greatly strengthen his spirit body, but it also allowed him to truly experience chaos. It would be of great help to his comprehension of the laws of chaos. However, even so, Lu Ming had not broken through after such a long time. A month after Bubbles' breakthrough, half a year after they entered the tomb of the reincarnation king, Baz, the chaos domain that surrounded his body finally changed. The thick chaos domain disappeared without a trace. At that moment, Lu Ming had an epiphany. He opened his eyes and a smile appeared on his face. With a single thought, an invisible fluctuation spread between heaven and earth. Then, a wisp of chaotic air currents swirled around Lu Ming's fingers. The laws of chaos. A strange light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes, as if the air of chaos was flowing. After half a year of hard work, Lu Ming had finally mastered the chaos laws and entered the second stage of the half-saint realm. His strength had skyrocketed. Lu Ming did not know how powerful the laws of chaos were. Time to go out. Lu Ming stood up and took a step forward, appearing outside the mountain and river diagram. After stepping over the bridge of helplessness, he realized that many people were gathered in a circle, as if they were paying attention to something. Lu Ming walked over to Yi Dongfang. "Brother Lu, you've broken through?" Yi Dongfang's eyes lit up when he sensed Lu Ming's aura. Lu Ming's combat strength was already extremely shocking. If he were to break through, he would be even more terrifying. They would be more confident in charging out. "Yes, I broke through by luck." Lu Ming nodded. "Bzzzzz." The cry of a phoenix rang out. "Phoenix spirit." Lu Ming's gaze flickered. It turned out that there was a ball of fire burning where everyone was watching. A phoenix was flying in the fire, but Huang Ling was nowhere to be seen. It seems like Huang Ling is going to be reborn. Once she succeeds, I'm afraid it'll no longer be her match. Yi Dongfeng sighed. Phoenix's nirvana? Lu Ming muttered. That's right. The bloodline that Huang Ling awakened in the past was the undying celestial phoenix, one of the top 10 war beasts. It's no small matter. After she cultivated into a spiritual body, she started with a low-tier earth spiritual body. However, the undying celestial phoenix body has a special characteristic. She can continuously be reborn. Every time she reincarnated, her spiritual body will rise by a level. It's extremely shocking. After this successful rebirth, her spiritual body will probably reach the stage of a medium-tier earth spiritual body. Yi Dongfeng explained, his eyes filled with envy. This is very similar to my 9-dragon bloodline. Lu Ming's heart stirred. When the bloodline of the 9 dragons first condensed a spiritual body, it was also a low-grade earthly spiritual body. It needed to swallow the spiritual essence of the refined true dragon to be able to advance. However, the undying heavenly phoenix body could achieve evolution through nirvana rebirth. Perhaps, those who had awakened the bloodlines of the top 10 battle beasts were not simple. In addition, in the endless years between heaven and earth, there were some who could stand shoulder to shoulder with the top 10 beasts, or even surpass them. Once that bloodline was awakened, it would be extremely terrifying. It seemed that there were spirit bodies that could evolve continuously like the dragon god combat body. After all, a spirit body was not a bloodline. The bloodline was innate. Once it was awakened, it could be improved greatly. However, the level of the bloodline could be improved through nirvana pills. As for the spirit body, it was cultivated from the bloodline and not innate. It was likely that the restrictions were not that great, so it was normal for it to be able to evolve. The flame became more and more intense, and the phoenix cried out and danced around. However, a day later, the flame seemed to have reached its limit and quickly retracted, revealing Huang Ling's figure. Although Huang Ling's cultivation was still at the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm, the pressure she gave off was much stronger than before. Even Lu Ming felt a trace of pressure. The phoenix spirit spiritual body had successfully evolved and had reached the medium-grade heavenly spiritual body. The flame was put away and Huang Ling stood up. Huang Ling, congratulations. Congratulations. Yi Dongfeng, Xia Ding, and the others all congratulated Feng Ling. Their eyes were filled with envy, but they were not discouraged. The higher the level of the spirit body, the more powerful the spirit body was. However, the spirit Buddha's future achievements might not necessarily be stronger. They also had the heavenly spiritual body and had the potential to break through to the imperial realm. In the future, when they cultivated to the martial emperor realm, it would be hard to say who would have higher achievements. Although the grade of a spirit body represented one's talent, there had been people in history who had reached the peak with their low-class heaven spirit body. Chapter 1654 Killing a Great Mastery. Bright Saint Huang Ling nodded her head repeatedly to express her gratitude to the crowd. Then, she turned to look at Lu Ming. Huang Ling, I've just made a breakthrough. Let's rush out today. Lu Ming said, a sharp glint flashing in his eyes. All right, we'll charge out today. The others all nodded, killing intent flashing across their faces. They were all heaven's favorites and were very proud. This time, they were forced to hide here for half a year by the native races. This made them very angry and they wanted to explode. Let's go. Lu Ming immediately took the lead and strode toward the exit. Nearly 500 people followed Lu Ming with an imposing aura. The way out was smooth, and they soon arrived at the passage. As expected, it only took a day to cross the passage. When they crossed the passage, a loud roar came from outside. They're out. Boom, boom, boom. Instantly, a terrifying aura burst out from all directions outside the passage. It was the aura of a saint. There were about 20 of them. These people really didn't want to give up. They had actually waited here for half a year. More than 20 figures stepped in the air, shrouded in saint light. Their auras were as heavy as mountains, and their saint might permeated the air. Kill! Lu Ming roared and charged over. Kill, kill, kill! The other young men rushed over one after another, and a terrifying light of attack blasted forward. Compared to half a year ago, their strength had improved a lot. Die! An expert in the initial Bright Saint realm stared at Lu Ming and attacked him with his palm. You're the one who's going to die. Lu Ming said coldly. He cast the prison-suppressing heavenly art and threw a punch. This punch contained the power of the laws of chaos. Boom! The punch landed on the opponent's palm. The opponent's face changed dramatically. With a scream, his palm exploded. The terrifying force continued to attack the opponent. No! The other party screamed in horror. Then, under this move, his body was torn into pieces, his saint heart shattered, and he died on the spot. Killing an early-stage bright saint in one move made the other saints around them gasp. Wang! Suddenly, the void rippled, and the space in front of the other initial bright sage expert shattered like a mirror. Just like the mirror, the body of the other initial bright sage expert also shattered. Another initial bright saint was dead. This was Bubbles' attack. She had used space-time laws to kill a sage. Bzzz. On the other side, Huang Ling was bathed in the undying flames. With a palm strike, a flaming phoenix flew out. A lower-tier bright saint expert was sent flying, spitting out blood. He was seriously injured by Lin in one move. Yi Dongfang, Xia Ding, and the others also unleashed their full power. Each of them could fight with a saint and were not weak at all. With the other 500 Heaven's favorites joining forces, their power was terrifying. When they joined forces, they completely blocked the opponent's attack. You're looking for death. A black-robed elder charged at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. This person was an expert at the great mastery of the Bright Saint realm. A demonic palm print headed towards Lu Ming. Its combat strength was several times stronger than that of a lower-tier Bright Saint. A chaos sky-turning seal suddenly appeared in Lu Ming's palm and he smashed it toward the other party. The Chaos Empyrean seal was activated by the power of laws, and its might was even more terrifying. It directly crushed the other party's demonic palm print. It seems like the other party's peak bright sage isn't here for the time being. I'll just kill this fellow. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. His glabella glowed, and Ming Lian stepped out. The Tai Chi formation plate glowed, and a Tai Chi yin-yang fish pattern pressed down on the black-robed elder. The black-robed old man's demonic light burst forth, and he struck out 2 palms in a row, resisting the yin-yang Tai Chi pattern. But at this moment, he was shocked to find that his movements had slowed down, as if he was in slow motion. Whoosh! A blade formed by space slashed across, and a sword wound appeared on the black-robed old man's body. Blood flowed out, and his body was almost cut in half. Kill! How could Lu Ming let go of such an opportunity? With a loud roar, he used the divine sword technique to attack the other party's soul. When Lu Ming had broken through to the second stage of the half-saint realm, his soul had been tempered and he had finally broken through the limit. Now, Lu Ming's soul force was equivalent to that of an expert in the initial Bright Saint realm. Even if his soul power was not as strong as the black-robed elders, he could still affect his opponent to a certain extent when he used the divine sword technique. At the same time, Lu Ming had already appeared beside the old man. Under the old man's shocked gaze, he threw a punch at the old man's head. The old man's head exploded like a watermelon. Buzz! Lu Ming's claw pierced through the black-robed elder's dantian and pulled out his saint heart. His saint heart was as black as ink, like a diamond. It was crystal clear and filled with demonic Tao laws. The saint heart of a saint was a treasure that could be used to refine pills or weapons. It was very expensive in the market. Lu Ming kept it. As for the black-robed old man, he couldn't be more dead. An expert in the great mastery of the Bright Saint realm was killed in just a few moments by the combined forces of Lu Ming, the clone, and Bubbles. Of course, this was because the 3 of them worked well together. If Lu Ming was alone, his combat strength would not be much different from the other party. It would be impossible to kill him. At most, he would have the upper hand. The Saint Realm masters of the native races were terrified and retreated. This included the other 3 who had attained the great mastery of the Bright Saint realm. They had been fighting the other heaven's favorites with all their might, but when they saw this, they felt a chill run down their spines. After not seeing him for half a year, Lu Ming had killed a person in the initial Bright Saint realm with a single punch. He could even kill someone in the greater Bright Saint realm. This was too terrifying. Charge! Lu Ming did not linger in the battle. He took the opportunity to break out of the encirclement. Die! At this moment, a deafening roar came from behind them. A thin figure flew over at extreme speed. It was the powerhouse at the peak of the Bright Saint stage. Back in the tomb of the Reincarnation Emperor, this person was injured by the power of the law of a large tomb and his origin was injured. During this period of time, he hid not far away to recuperate. When he heard the commotion, Lu Ming and the others had already broken out of the encirclement. All of you, enter the mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming shouted and summoned the mountain and river diagram, storing everyone else into it. Even if he teamed up with Bubbles in his second form, he would still not be a match for an expert at the peak of the Bright Saint stage. In the Saint realm, every step forward would increase one's combat strength by several times. The difference was huge. After keeping the others, the bubble opened a space-time tunnel and Lu Ming stepped into it. The next moment, he was already tens of thousands of miles away. After Bubble had comprehended the space-time laws, all aspects of her had naturally improved rapidly. The distance of the space-time tunnel had also increased by several times. Tens of thousands of miles away, the bubble opened another space-time tunnel and Lu Ming appeared tens of thousands of miles away again. After 3 consecutive times, Lu Ming was already 100,000 miles away. Chapter 1655 Yun Kai. In despair, the powerhouse at the peak of the Bright Saint stage was dumbfounded when he saw Lu Ming's disappearance. He then let out a furious roar. When he found out that Lu Ming had killed an initial Bright Saint and an expert in the advanced Bright Saint realm, he almost vomited blood. This time, they had failed to capture Lu Ming and the rest. Half a year ago, he was not the only one who was injured. This time he had even lost 2 experts. After waiting here for half a year, the other party didn't even leave a single hair behind. Their depression could be imagined. Inform all the races to pursue any outsiders in the 100-clan battlefield. In the future, kill any outsiders you see without mercy. The powerhouse at the peak of the Bright Saint stage roared, his killing intent extremely strong. After passing through a few space-time passageways, Lu Ming changed his direction and flew toward the periphery of the 100-clan battlefield. Lu Ming's current speed was extremely fast. He flew across the sky like a ray of light. Half a day later, Lu Ming had already arrived at the periphery of the 100-clan battlefield. MMH. All of a sudden, Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He heard a violent boom in front of him. It was the sound of a battle. Lu Ming flew forward. Not long after, Lu Ming saw 4 young people being chased by a group of exotic beasts. It's them. What a coincidence. Lu Ming's lips curled into an inexplicable smile. The 4 young men were actually Yun Shi and Yun Kai. After more than a year, the cultivation of the 4 of them had also improved greatly. Yunxi's cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th level martial royal realm when she first entered the 100-clan battlefield. Now she had reached the 2nd level of the half-saint realm, which was the same as Lu Ming's. Yun Kai and the other 2 had also reached the 1st stage of the half-saint realm. But now they were in great danger, being chased by a group of strange beasts. Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the other 2 were very depressed. They had been moving around the outskirts of the 100-clan battlefield during this period of time. They trained in some of the cities on the outskirts, and their cultivation levels had steadily increased. However, more than half a year ago, the natives of the 100-clan battlefield had gone crazy and started hunting down foreign prodigies. They were lucky to have escaped the disaster and found a safe place to hide. They had been hiding for more than half a year. Recently, they had all broken through in their cultivation and wanted to rush out of the 100-clan battlefield and return to the Cloud Emperor Mountain. However, not long after he came out, he was chased by a group of exotic beasts. The combined combat power of this group of ultra beasts was twice as strong as them. They were no match for them at all. Charge out! Yunshi shouted. Her long spear danced like a dragon and blocked the 3 strange beasts of the 2nd stage of the half-saint realm. They wanted to rush out, but the beasts were holding them back. Ah, Yun Kai, what are you doing? Suddenly, an angry roar was heard. It turned out that Yun Kai had suddenly made a move, sending Yun Kai flying with a palm strike. Many strange beasts immediately pounced towards Yun Kai. Yun Kai let out an angry roar and exploded with all his strength to resist. Yun Kai, Yun Shi was also furious. Using his life to exchange for the lives of the 3 of us. It's worth it. Charge now! Yun Kai shouted, his eyes flashing with a cold light. Yun Kai fought with all his might and attracted a group of strange beasts. Naturally, there was an opening, and Yun Kai quickly rushed out from that opening. Ah, Yun Kai, you'll die a horrible death. Yun Kai roared madly. Puchi! His arm had been torn off by a strange beast. Hold on! Yun Shi called out, and with all her might, she charged towards Yun Kai, sweeping away a strange beast and saving Yun Kai by a hair's breadth. Humph, how foolish. If you don't rush out with such a good opportunity, then you can all die. Yun Kai sneered in his heart. Don't let him get away. A mutated beast spoke the human language. Immediately, a few powerful mutated beasts, including 2 beasts at the second stage of half-saint, chased after Xueqi. Xueqi's expression changed as he pushed his movement technique to the extreme and flew at top speed. In the next moment, his expression changed because he saw a person in front of him. This person was naturally Lu Ming. Lu Ming, it's you. You've come at the right time. Come and help us fend off the exotic beasts. Xueqi shouted coldly. A cold glint flashed in his eyes as he flew towards Lu Ming at top speed. It was obvious that he wanted to drag Lu Ming into the water to help him fend off the ultra beasts so that he could escape. He had sinister intentions. There was a faint smile on Lu Ming's face. He was motionless. Xueqi's face turned ferocious as he charged at Lu Ming at top speed. Get lost! Suddenly, Lu Ming shouted. This voice contained the power of the godly sword technique. Xueqi let out a blood-curdling screech and his body stopped in the air. Lu Ming took a step forward and passed Xueqi, appearing at Xuanxi and the rest. Kill, die! Lu Ming shouted again. The divine sword technique was blasted out along with the power of the sound waves, bombarding the exotic beasts. Plop, plop. A large group of mutated beasts fell to the ground, their lives completely extinguished. Lu Ming's shout had destroyed the souls of those exotic beasts, including a few of the beasts at the second stage of the half-saint realm. Xuanxi and the other 2 were dumbfounded. To them, the ultra beasts that could take their lives had been killed by Lu Ming's shout. It was like a dream. Immediately, Lu Ming clenched his fist in the air and formed 3 essential core ribbons. They wrapped around Xuanxi and the other 2 and retreated rapidly. The strange beasts looked at Lu Ming in fear and did not dare to pursue him. Ah, save me, save me! At that moment, Xueqi let out a heart-wrenching cry. Lu Ming's shout at Xueqi just now did not kill him. In fact, it did not even injure him. It only caused him to feel pain and stop in his tracks. Now, he was surrounded by those exotic beasts. How could he be a match for those exotic beasts by himself? A few more wounds instantly appeared on his body. Lu Ming, Xuanxi, and the rest looked on coldly. When the strange beasts that had surrounded Xuanxi and the others saw this scene, they immediately roared and rushed towards Xueqi. Xueqi felt even more despair as he roared. Lu Ming, save me, save me. I'm a disciple of the Cloud Emperor Mountain. You can't just leave me in the lurch. Lu Ming shook his head. Xueqi was really stupid to threaten him with the Cloud King Mountain at this time. One of Xueqi's legs was torn off by a strange beast. He let out a shrill cry and cried out. Lu Ming, Xuanxi, I was wrong. I was wrong. Save me, save me. However, the next moment, a strange beast at the second stage of the half-saint realm bit off his head, and Xueqi died unwillingly. Roar! Roar! Those strange beasts cast a grave look at Lu Ming, then ran away, not daring to make a move. Xueqi, you really deserve to die, Xueqi said hatefully. Previously, in order to survive, Xueqi had actually plotted against him and used his life to block the attack. They did not have the slightest bit of sympathy for him. He indeed deserved to die, Xuanxi said coldly. She then looked at Lu Ming and cupped her fists. Lu Ming, thank you for saving me. 9 heavens and 10 lands following that. Xueqi and the other young man, Yunfeng, also expressed their gratitude to Lu Ming. In the past, when Lu Ming wanted to enter with them, they had looked down on him. At that time, Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the peak of the 6th-level martial royal realm. They thought that Lu Ming wanted to use their strength to temper himself in the 100-clan battlefield. But now, after more than a year, Lu Ming was simply unfathomable in their eyes. Moreover, Lu Ming had saved them time and time again. Otherwise, they would not have been able to leave the 100-clan battlefield. There's no need to thank me. I saved you all because I wanted to use your teleportation array to return to the Azure continent. Lu Ming said indifferently. The 100-clan battlefield was extremely far away from the Azure continent. Without a teleportation formation, it was unknown how long it would take to fly. The Cloud continent was the continent closest to the Azure continent. If he wanted to go back, he had to go to Yunzhou first, which was the closest. Xuanxi, Xueqi, and the others revealed a trace of embarrassment on their faces. Let's go, Lu Ming said as he flew out of the 100-clan battlefield. Xuanxi and the others quickly followed. They were not far from the 100 tribes battlefield now. They flew out of the 100 tribes battlefield's territory and appeared outside. As soon as he flew out of the 100-clan battlefield, Lu Ming immediately felt that the chaotic laws between heaven and earth were clearer. He could control them more easily and naturally. After all, the laws of the 100-clan battlefield were too chaotic. The saints outside the 100-clan battlefield are probably more powerful than the saints inside. Lu Ming had a thought in his mind. In the 100-clan battlefield, the laws were chaotic. The saints couldn't control the laws as they pleased. The saints outside were definitely stronger than those of the same level. Lu Ming, let's go to the teleportation array. Xueqi said. Wait a moment. Lu Ming said. Then, his glabella glowed. A large group of people suddenly appeared, giving Xueqi and the others a big shock. Especially after they sensed the cultivation of this group of people, their expressions changed even more. The cultivation of this group of people was not weaker than theirs. They were all stronger than them. Some of their auras were as deep as mountains and unfathomable. Heaven's favorites. All of them are peerless heaven's favorites. Xueqi and the rest widened their eyes in shock. Lu Ming actually had such a huge force. What exactly did Lu Ming experience in the 100-clan battlefield? This group of people was, of course, Huang Ling, Yi Dongfeng, and the others. The moment Huang Ling and the rest came out, they looked around. The nomological aura here isn't from the 100-clan battlefield. Ha ha ha, we're out. When they sensed it, they could naturally sense that they were already out of the 100-clan battlefield. They were immediately overjoyed. They were finally out of danger. Although many people did not return in this direction, it would be easy for them to return once they were out of the 100-clan battlefield. All they had to do was waste a little more time. Then, everyone expressed their gratitude to Lu Ming one after another. Xueqi and the rest could only watch at the side, dumbfounded. Lu Ming, with your talent, you will definitely leave the Tsang state in the future. After all, the Tsang state is too small. If you leave the Tsang state in the future, you can come to the ancient Moon Holy Land to find me. Huang Ling's beautiful eyes flickered and she came to Lu Ming. There was a trace of reluctance in her eyes, but she hid it well. Ancient Moon Holy Land? Lu Ming was puzzled. He had never heard of Ancient Moon Holy Land. You've never heard of it? Said Huang Ling. No, I came from outside the Yuan continent. I don't know much about the Yuan continent. There aren't many records about it in the ancient books of the Tsang region. Lu Ming said. You actually came from the Forsaken Land? This time, not only Huang Ling, but the other geniuses were also shocked. Lu Ming was such a prodigy. It was beyond their expectations that he came from the Forsaken Land. The Forsaken Land? Lu Ming was even more puzzled. Why had he not heard of any of the places that Huang Ling and the rest mentioned? Back then, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master had given him a map of the dozens of states near Tsang Prefecture. Lu Ming, let me tell you about the general geographical division of the world. Legend has it that there are 9 heavens and 10 lands in the world. Legend has it that the 9 heavens are not part of our primordial realm, but the heaven realm. Legend has it that the heaven realm and the primordial realm are twin worlds. The heaven realm is divided into 9 heavens, while the primordial realm is divided into 10 lands. I don't know about the 9 heavens of the heaven realm. After all, they are too far away from us. The 10 lands of the Yuan continent are the land of desolation, the land of crime, the land of 10,000 demons, the land of 10,000 demons, the land of divine beasts, the land of 5 elements, the land of barbarian heaven, the land of 9 serenities, the land of Yuan mountain, and the land of divine destiny. The desolate land refers to the countless islands outside of the Yuan continent. When put together, they are called the desolate land. Huang Ling began to explain in detail. Outside the Yuan continent, in the boundless ocean, the island of the endless continent is actually just a barren land of the 10 lands. Lu Ming was somewhat dumbfounded. That's right. We are currently in one of the 10 lands, Yuan Mountain. Yuan Mountain is extremely vast and incalculable. There are countless forces of all sizes, many emperor-level forces, and countless blessed lands. However, among all the paradisiacal lands, there are 9 places that are the most famous. They are called the 9 Great Holy Lands. Each of the 9 holy lands is a holy land for cultivation. The environment is unique and it far surpasses other places. The ancient Moon Holy Land is one of the 9 Great Holy Lands. In every holy land, there are many powerful forces. My Phoenix Palace is in the ancient Moon Holy Land. In fact, the location of the 100-clan battlefield is within the range of the ancient Moon Holy Land. Therefore, the geniuses who come to the 100-clan battlefield to train are almost all from the ancient Moon Holy Land, as well as some of the large states near the ancient Moon Holy Land, and some emperor-level forces. Huang Ling continued to explain. Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief. His eyes filled with shock. He finally had a clear understanding of the Yuan continent. Vast, it was too vast. The Azure State was already extremely vast, but it was only one of the many states near the ancient Moon Holy Land. In ancient Moon Holy Land, there was clearly an even stronger force. And Mount Yuan had 9 sacred grounds. So how many continents were there? How big was the territory? However, Mount Yuan was only one of the 10 lands of the Yuan continent. How many geniuses and experts were there in this vast territory? No one knew that in this vast land, every day, there would be experts dying and experts being born. Geniuses rose up, each of them experiencing their own joys and sorrows. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with strong anticipation. The Azure continent was still too small. In the future, he would definitely leave the Azure continent and explore the outside world. Brother Lu, in the future, when you reach the Guyu Holy Land, remember to find me, we can drink to our heart's content. Yi Dongfeng said. The Thunder God sect was also in the ancient Moon Holy Land. Immediately, the other paragons also extended invitations to Lu Ming. However, only a small number of forces came from ancient Moon Holy Land. The other forces were all emperor-ranked forces around ancient Moon Holy Land. The one and only divine temple, Xueqi's whereabouts. Miss Huang Ling, Brother Yi, Lu Ming has something to ask you all. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and said, Brother Lu, just say it. Yi Dongfeng said, Everyone, have you heard of the phrase the only one in the world? Lu Ming asked. Back then when Lu Ming was still very weak, someone descended into the divine wilderness and took Xueqi away, leaving behind the words the only one in the divine wilderness. In Lu Ming's understanding, above the divine wilderness most likely referred to a continent that was stronger than the divine wilderness continent. If it was those small overseas continents like the divine wilderness continent, then it would be troublesome, as there were too many of them and they were hard to find. If it was a force in the Yuan continent, Huang Ling, Yi Dongfeng, and the others came from a powerful force and were well informed. They might know, which was why Lu Ming asked. It had been more than 10 years since he parted with Xueqi. Lu Ming missed her and wondered how she was doing. The only one in the world? Huang Ling, Yi Dongfeng, and the others looked at each other, deep in thought. What's wrong? Miss Huang Ling, Brother Yi, you don't know either? Lu Ming felt slightly disappointed. The only one in the world. The one who dares to be so arrogant and use this title is most likely the only holy temple. Huang Ling frowned. I think so too. Other than the one and only divine temple, who would dare to claim to be the only one in the world? Yi Dongfeng said. Where is the one and only holy temple? Is it an emperor-ranked power? Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he quickly asked. Although the sole divine temple is in Yuan Mountain, it's not in Guyu Holy Land, but in another holy land. Furthermore, the sole divine temple is an extremely terrifying force. The cultivators of the sole divine temple are extremely powerful. I heard that there aren't many disciples from the sole divine temple, but every one of them is said to be the only one in the world. For example, a disciple from the sole divine temple cultivates the nomological laws of fire. This person is unique and extremely powerful, able to suppress other geniuses who cultivate the nomological laws of fire. There's only one genius in the world who can suppress other nomological laws by cultivating other nomological laws. This is how it came about. Huang Ling explained. Every single one of them is the only one in the world? Lu Ming found it hard to believe. The Yuan continent was so vast and experts were as common as clouds. Although there were tens of thousands of laws, there were even more people who cultivated them. There were probably many people who cultivated each law, especially common laws like the law of fire and the law of water. Who could say that they were the best and the only one in the world? The only holy temple's tone was too arrogant. The title of the only divine temple is a little too much. There are so many heaven's favorites in the world, so how could they dare to claim that they are the only one? However, I have to say that the people from the only divine temple are indeed extremely terrifying. Their combat strength is terrifying, and there are few who can match them. Said Huang Ling, that's right. I've heard that there are some experts from the sole divine temple who travel the world all year round in search of people with extraordinary talent. They bring them back to the sole divine temple to cultivate and nurture them. Yi Dongfang added. Yi Dongfang's words made Lu Ming's eyes light up. The Soul Divine Temple had experts who traveled the world in search of people with outstanding talent to bring back to the Soul Divine Temple for cultivation. It was very likely that someone would have found Xueqi in the Divine Wilderness. Lu Ming had found some clues. No matter what, he had to make a trip to the one and only Divine Temple in the future. Thank you everyone for clearing up Lu Ming's doubts. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said, Brother Lu, you're too kind. I'll take my leave first. We have to report the 100-clan battlefield to the sect as soon as possible to prevent more prodigies from entering. Yi Dongfang said. After that, the others also bade farewell to Lu Ming one after another. In the end, Huang Ling and the people from the Phoenix Palace also took their leave, leaving only Lu Ming, Yun Shi, and a few others. Let's go, Lu Ming said. Yun Shi and the rest nodded subconsciously. Unknowingly, Lu Ming had established a strong prestige in their hearts. This place was very close to the teleportation formation of the Cloud Emperor Mountain. Not long after, they arrived at the teleportation formation and stepped into it, returning to the Cloud Emperor Mountain. After returning to the Cloud Emperor Mountain, the elder who had gone to fetch Lu Ming and the Cloud Dragon Valley Master came to Lu Ming and told him a piece of news. The Cloud Dragon Valley had asked him to pass on a message to Lu Ming. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master was busy during this period of time. If Lu Ming returned from the 100-clan battlefield, he could return to the Azure Continent alone. Many thanks, Senior. Lu Ming cupped his fists at the old man. The old man nodded and brought Lu Ming out of the Cloud Emperor Mountain. Then, Lu Ming took out the space-breaking shuttle and flew in the direction of the Azure Continent. The Cloud Emperor Mountain was very far from the Tsong region, especially from the Dragon God Valley. Even the Cloud Dragon Valley Master had to spend 2 days to get there. Given the speed of Lu Ming's low-level space-piercing shuttle, it would take him a month to get back to Dragon God Valley. However, since there were still 4 months before the treasure sealing assembly, Lu Ming was not in a hurry. He could just rush back slowly. While they were on the road they could cultivate. The higher one's cultivation was, the more numb one would be to time. A martial emperor could live for 10 to 20,000 years. Saints had a lifespan of more than 100,000 years. Some people would go into closed-door cultivation for a few years, or even decades. It might take hundreds or even thousands of years to break through one level of cultivation. A month's time was really nothing. Lu Ming sat cross-legged in the space-breaking flying shuttle. A few storage rings appeared in his hands. Lu Ming had obtained these storage rings after killing a few saints from the 100-clan battlefield. Previously, Lu Ming had not checked and counted. Now was the perfect time to do so. Not long after, he finished counting. Even with Lu Ming's temperament, he was dumbfounded. I'm rich, I'm really rich. There were too many treasures and raw gemstones inside. There were more than 100 saint weapons. A total of 150 saint weapons. What a huge number. On second thought, Lu Ming understood. This time, the local saints had killed many heaven's favorites from outside forces. Almost all of these heaven's favorites had a saint weapon. The saints had collected a lot of saint weapons. There were also raw gemstones that were piled up like a mountain. He did not know how many there were. In short, it would be enough for Lu Ming to use for a period of time. I'm cultivating the 10,000 soldiers scroll, and I need a large number of holy weapons. I don't lack them now. I'll use this time to cultivate the 10,000 soldiers scroll. Lu Ming pondered. Previously, Lu Ming had been focused on comprehending the laws of chaos and had put everything else aside. He had not cultivated the 10,000 soldiers scroll. When he was at the 9th tier of the martial royal realm, Lu Ming could seal 12 holy weapons. Now that he had broken through to the 2nd stage of the half-saint realm, comprehended the law of chaos, and even refined a wisp of true chi of chaos in his body, how many holy weapons could he seal in his body? Lu Ming himself was looking forward to it. Lu Ming immediately began to cultivate. He circulated the 10,000 soldiers' art and began to seal the holy weapon in his acupuncture points. The 13th round was completed easily without any feeling. Then, the 14th, the 15th. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Lu Ming had already left the Clouds Plains and entered the Azure Plains. Chapter 1658 Meeting Su Lei for half a month. Lu Ming continued to cultivate the 10,000 soldier scroll. The more he cultivated, the slower the speed of sealing the holy weapons became. The more holy weapons there were, the stronger the battle weapon Qi formed would be. The burden on his body would be greater. Lu Ming had to take each step carefully and carefully. In the end, Lu Ming successfully sealed 36 holy weapons. At this point, Lu Ming finally felt that he had reached his limit and stopped. When Wan Tiancheng was in the second stage of the half-saint realm, he had only sealed 14 holy weapons. The difference between him and Lu Ming was too great. The battle weapon Qi of the 36 saint weapons had reached a terrifying level of power. After cultivating the 10,000 soldiers scroll, he began to comprehend the chaos laws and the chaos sky-turning seal. Now, the primal chaos sky-turning seal had already reached the peak of the 5th level. It was not far from the 6th level, the perfected level. Time passed, and another few days went by. The space-breaking flying shuttle was flying in the sky. Buzz! All of a sudden, a dazzling sword light flashed below, attracting Lu Ming's attention. Lu Ming walked to the side of the crystal glass and looked outside. He suddenly raised his eyebrows. He saw a familiar face. Su Lei. Back then, when he was cultivating on the sky-reaching floating platform in the Dragon God Valley, he had a bet with the Silver City of the Silver Dragon Valley. Later on, the Silver City reneged on the bet and even made a false accusation. At that time, no one dared to testify for Lu Ming. In the end, it was the timid little girl who came out and testified for Lu Ming. That little girl was Su Lei. Lu Ming had a deep impression of her. At this moment, Su Lei was being chased. There was a young girl with Su Lei. The two of them fled in a hurry, and more than a dozen burly men chased after them. Lu Ming stepped out of the space-breaking flying shuttle. He waved his hand and kept the space-breaking flying shuttle. Then, he flew towards Su Lei. Su Lei, you won't be able to escape today. You'd better obediently follow us back to the Su family, lest you suffer physical pain. Behind Su Lei, a big man said with a gloomy face. Su Lei gritted her teeth and flew forward at high speed without saying a word. Humph, don't even think about it. You despicable people, the young lady will never go back with you. The young girl beside Su Lei said loudly. Little girl, how dare you? What do you know? It's an honor for you to contribute to the Su family if you go back. The burly man roared. Their speed became faster and faster as they approached Su Lei and her husband. Su Lei and the young woman's faces became paler and paler. Junior sister Su Lei, how have you been? At this moment, a clear voice was heard. Su Lei was stunned. Then, she saw a young figure in a black robe descending from the sky, his long hair flying in the wind. Senior brother Lu Ming. Su Lei blurted out in surprise. She did not expect to meet Lu Ming here. Then, Su Lei's expression changed and she shouted, Senior brother Lu Ming. Leave quickly. However, before he could finish his sentence, Lu Ming's figure flashed and he suddenly appeared between Su Lei and the burly men. The burly men charged at Lu Ming. The leader of the group shouted, Brat, get lost. With that, he stretched out a large hand and grabbed Lu Ming. Lu Ming smiled faintly and waved his hand. A quintessential essence wall formed in front of him. Bang! The burly man grabbed the Zhan Yuan wall like an ordinary person's hand. He grabbed a steel plate with all his strength, but he was stronger. With a crack, the burly man's finger broke. Moreover, because they were charging forward too quickly, each and every one of them hit their heads on the Zhan Yuan wall. Bang! 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 The scene was very spectacular. The dozen burly men flew at high speed and suddenly crashed into the Zhan Yuan wall. Each of them was dizzy from the impact and fell to the ground, bleeding from their mouths and noses. Some people even broke their noses. Su Lei and the young woman were dumbfounded. After a long while, the dozen burly men finally reacted. The leader shouted, Kid, this is an internal matter of the Su family. It has nothing to do with you. Get lost. Although he was shouting, his eyes were filled with solemnness. Although the dozen of them did not attack the quintessential essence wall that Lu Ming had conjured, they were surrounded by their quintessential essence and territory. When they crashed into it, the quintessential essence wall did not budge at all. On the other hand, they were all bruised and battered, looking extremely pathetic. Are you from the same clan as junior sister Su Lei? Lu Ming's gaze shifted to Su Lei. Su Lei blushed and nodded slightly. Boy, did you see that? This is a private matter of the Su family. Get lost. We have to bring Su Lei back to the Su family. The leader of the men shouted. No, I don't want to go back to the Su family. Su Lei shook her head. Today, You have to come back even if you don't want to. Brothers, let's attack together. The leader of the men shouted. Get lost. A cold glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes and he took a step forward. Boom! The sky rumbled, and a terrifying force charged toward the dozen or so burly men. The strongest of the dozen burly men was only at LV8 martial royal realm. In front of Lu Ming, they were like ants, unable to withstand a single blow. Bang! Bang! More than 10 burly men were sent flying, each of them puking blood as they looked at Lu Ming in shock. This young man was so powerful. Xueqi, so what if you have a helper? Don't forget that your mother is still in the SU family. If you don't come back, your mother will die because of you. The leader of the large men said fiercely. Instantly, Xueqi's pretty face turned pale and tears welled up in her eyes. She said, You guys, don't hurt my mother. Humph, you'd better think about it carefully. Let's go. The burly man snorted and turned around to leave. Did I let you go? Lu Ming said coldly. This made the dozen or so burly men's faces turn pale, revealing a look of fear. Senior brother Lu Ming, let them go. Otherwise my mother, Xueqi said from the side. The dozen burly men quickly flew forward and disappeared. Lu Ming did not give chase. Junior sister Xueqi, what happened? Are those people from the same clan as you? Lu Ming asked. Xueqi pondered for a moment and said, Senior brother Lu Ming, it's nothing. I'll handle this matter myself, you should leave. Junior sister Xueqi, you're afraid of implicating me, right? Lu Ming asked directly. This timid girl was very kind and did not have any schemes. Lu Ming could tell what she was thinking at one glance. Xueqi twisted her hands together and didn't speak for a while. Young lady, what's there to hide? Those people are despicable and shameless. For their own sake, they would sacrifice you, young lady. What fellow clansman? Bah! The young girl beside him said unhappily. This girl was Xueqi's maidservant. Her name was Xueqi, and her personality was the complete opposite of Xueqi's. A sharp glint flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Young lady, tell me what's going on. All right, young miss is kind-hearted. Let me say it. It's like this. Xueqi began to talk. The 4 clans of Gusu City. There was a large city nearby, and it was called Gusu City. There were 4 big families in Gusu City, and the SU family, which Xueqi was born in, was one of the 4 big families. In fact, in the distant past, the 4 great families were actually the same family. Later on, for some unknown reason, the 4 great families split up. The few families that split up changed their surnames one after another, forming the 4 great families today. The 4 families shared the same ancestral land. Every once in a while, the 4 families would send their young experts to compete with each other. Whoever won would be able to send someone into the ancestral land to obtain the opportunities. Moreover, they could still ask for outside help. No matter which family it was, as long as they invited the younger generation, they could represent the family and participate in the competition. After all, relationships and connections sometimes represented strength. Now, it was time for the competition between the 4 races to fight for a spot to enter the ancestral land. This time, the SU family had invited a few Heaven's Pride experts from the deity sect to help the SU family participate in the competition. With the participation of the Heaven's Pride experts from the deity sect, the SU family could be said to have won for sure. However, the Heaven's God sect's paragon had a request. This was because one of the Heaven's Pride experts of the Heavenly God sect had been poisoned by the fiery lotus poison. Xueqi had the mysterious dragon body. The Heaven's Pride expert of the Heavenly God sect had requested Xueqi to have sex with the person who had been poisoned by the fiery lotus poison. In this way, the mysterious dragon body would be able to neutralize the fiery lotus poison. After Xueqi found out, she ran out, which led to the SU family's pursuit. However, they didn't expect the other party to be so despicable as to use Xueqi's mother to threaten them. I see. Lu Ming's eyes were even colder. Where there were people, there would be Jianghu. For the sake of benefits, cultivators would fight for their own benefits. Such things happened every day in the vast Yuan continent. Without strength, one could not even decide their own fate. Lu Ming could not and would not care about other people and other matters. However, since he had encountered this matter, and it was Xueqi who had helped him before, he had to get involved. Junior sister Xueqi, let's go. I'll accompany you back to the SU family. Lu Ming said. Su Lei shook her head repeatedly. Senior brother Lu Ming. This is my business. I can't implicate you. I'll go back and save my mother. You'll go back by yourself. Will you agree to their conditions? Lu Ming said. Su Lei fell silent. Tears welled up in her eyes again, making her look lonely and helpless. With her cultivation level, what could she do if she returned? She could only save her mother if she agreed to the other party's conditions. Let's go. I'll go back to the Su family with you. Su Cha, you lead the way. Lu Ming was very direct. He pulled Su Lei's small hand and stepped on the air. All right. Su Cha nodded and took the lead to fly forward. Now, she could only give it her all. Since Lu Ming called Su Lei his junior sister, he should be a disciple of Dragon God Valley, right? Perhaps, Lu Ming was very powerful. Senior brother Lu Ming, Su. There's a saint in the Su family. Su Lei's face was flushed as Lu Ming held her hand. However, she was still worried. Although he knew that Lu Ming was very powerful and had been very powerful since a few years ago, he was definitely no match for those half-saints or even saints. Haha, so what if you're a saint? I'll still slap you to death. Junior sister Su Lei, you've helped me before, and I haven't returned the favor. If I miss this opportunity, how am I going to return the favor in the future? Do you want me to repay you with my body? Ha ha ha. Lu Ming laughed out loud, but Su Lei's face was red. However, after Lu Ming's joke, Su Lei's mood was much better. She allowed Lu Ming to pull her along as they flew towards Gusu City. Gusu City was very big. In the Azure region, it was also a big city with a rather famous reputation. Each of the 4 families in the city had a saint. They were very powerful in the nearby area. Furthermore, the 4 major families were closely connected to the top forces in Song Prefecture. Every time a genius was born, they would be sent to the 13 top forces to cultivate. For example, Su Lei was sent to the Dragon God Valley to cultivate. She only returned to the Su family when it was almost time for the 4-clan competition. She did not expect this to happen. Soon, they arrived at Gusu City. The 3 of them arrived before a huge palace. This was the Su family. Su Lei is back. The eyes of the few big men guarding the door lit up when they saw Su Lei. A few of them flashed and blocked the escape route of the 3 people, as if they were afraid that they would escape. One of them rushed into the palace to report. Let's go. Lu Ming let go of Su Lei's small hand and took the lead to walk into the Su family's residence. Su Lei and Su Cha followed behind. After entering the gate and walking through a long corridor, they arrived at a large courtyard. The moment they stepped into the courtyard, the sound of air being torn could be heard continuously. In the Su family's palace, there were constantly figures flashing over and flying into the courtyard, surrounding them. Su Lei and Su Cha's faces turned pale. Lu Ming had his hands behind his back. His expression was calm and he was calm. Su Lei, I knew you would come back. A sharp voice rang out. Then, a few figures came to the courtyard. At the very front was a middle-aged man in a green robe. He stood with his hands behind his back and exuded a dignified aura. Beside the green-robed middle-aged man stood a young woman. She was quite pretty. At this moment, she was sneering and looking at Su Lei triumphantly. She was the one who had made the sound just now. That's the head of the Su family. That woman is the daughter of the head of the Su family, Su Qin. She's the one who brought the genius of the deity sect here. Su Cha sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded, his eyes glistening as he sized up the master of the Su family. The 3rd stage of the half-saint realm. The rules of the world? Lu Ming smiled faintly. He could tell at a glance that the cultivation of the SUS master was at the 3rd stage of half-saint. However, the master of the Su family was at most a low-grade earth spiritual body. Even if he was at the 3rd stage of the law, he was not worth mentioning in Lu Ming's eyes. As for Su Qin, her cultivation was even worse. She was only at the 6th level of the martial royal realm. The master of the Su family's gaze fell on Lu Ming as well, and he frowned slightly. That was because he could not tell Lu Ming's cultivation realm. However, his brows soon relaxed. Lu Ming should have cultivated some concealment technique. Since he was with Su Lei, his cultivation level was probably not high. There was no need to worry. Master, where's my mother? Quickly release my mother. This matter has nothing to do with her. Since she was already here, Su Lei decided to go all out. She stepped forward and faced the Su family's master. Xueqi, what's the hurry? After you help Zheng Fei get rid of the fire lotus poison, you'll naturally let your mother go. Xueqi, the daughter of the Su family's head, sneered. No, I want to see my mother first. Xueqi gritted her teeth. Xueqi, you are not qualified to talk about conditions now. Moreover, it is your honor to be able to have sex with the heaven's pride of the heavenly god sect. Maybe the other party will take a fancy to you in the future and give you a status. At that time, you will have a meteoric rise. Xueqi said. I don't want to. I want to see my mother. Then, a dagger appeared in Xueqi's hand and she pointed it at her heart. If I don't see my mother today, I'll just die and you can forget about it. No need to choose now, you dare to. Xueqi's expression changed as she screamed. The face of the Su family's head also changed. He did not expect Xueqi to be so unyielding. Lu Ming's expression did not change. He was very close to Xueqi. If Xueqi really committed suicide, he had dozens of ways to save her. Therefore, there was no need for him to be in a hurry. He had to see Xueqi's mother first. What's there to be afraid? If anything happens to my mother, you can only have my corpse. Xueqi said firmly, her eyes revealing a determined look. Go and bring her mother here. At this moment, the Su family head instructed. If Xueqi died, she would lose her use. At that time, the Heaven's God Sex Paragon might leave in a fit of anger. They had no choice but to be apprehensive. Yes. Some people were heading towards the palace at the back. Soon, someone brought a middle-aged woman here. Later, why are you back? Hurry up and leave. Don't worry about me. When the middle-aged woman saw Xueqi, her face changed and she shouted. Shut up. Xueqi berated. Let my mother come over. Xueqi shouted. The master of the Su family waved his hand, and the man let go of Xueqi's mother. Anyway, this was the Su family's residence. Lu Ming and the rest were already surrounded by the Su family's experts. They could not escape even if they had wings. The middle-aged woman ran over and hugged Xueqi. Mother, are you all right? Xueqi put away the dagger and looked at the middle-aged woman. Later, why did you come back? You've already run out. As long as you return to Dragon God Valley, they can't do anything to you. The middle-aged woman said with a sad face. Mother, Leia can't leave you behind. Xueqi said. Later. The middle-aged woman's tears kept flowing. Suddenly she ran to the Su family's head and knelt down, begging. Family head, I beg you, let Leia go. No matter what, Leia is still a direct descendant of the Su family. I beg you to let her go. Xueqi's family was originally the direct line of descent of the Su family, and had quite a high status. However, after Xueqi's father and grandfather died in battle, their family's status plummeted. Get up. You said it yourself. Xueqi is a direct descendant of the Su family. I asked her to do this for the Su family. Since she is a direct descendant of the Su family, what's the big deal with sacrificing a little for the family? Moreover, I'm not trying to take her life. I'm just giving her a chance. After all, she's a heaven's favorite of the Tianshan sect. And NBSP the Su family head spoke with an extremely cold tone. But, in this case, if the other party doesn't want Leia will be ruined. Family head, I beg you, let Leia go. Xueqi's mother continued to plead. It's useless no matter who you beg today. At this time, a cold voice sounded. Then, 3 figures stepped into the courtyard. The 3 young men were dressed in white robes. With one look, one could tell that they were disciples of the Heavenly God sect. One of them had a red face, as if there was a fire burning in his body. This person should be the Zheng Fei who was poisoned by the fire lotus poison. The 3 of them stepped forward. Zheng Fei stared at Xueqi and shouted, All of you, why aren't you taking down this girl and letting her help me dispel the fire poison? Why aren't you all? With the fire poison in his body, he felt as if he was constantly being burned by flames. The pain was unbearable, and Zheng Fei couldn't wait to have sex with Xueqi immediately. That's right. You're dragging out such a small matter. If anything happens to my junior brother, don't expect us to help your Su family. At that time, we'll go directly to the other 3 families and see how your Su family can get first place. Another Heaven's Pride expert of the Heavenly God sect coldly spoke. The faces of the Su family's master and Xueqi changed drastically. If the Heaven's Pride expert of the deity sect were to help the other three families in a fit of anger, the Su family would have no chance. Sule, you bitch. Hurry up and take senior brother Zhang Fei away to serve him. If you delay the important matters, not only you, but all of you will die. Xueqi screamed. Xueqi had joined the deity sect, but she was only a small figure in the deity sect. It was not easy for her to invite a few geniuses to help the Su family, and she did not want Sule to ruin her plans. Xueqi, don't think that we don't know what you're thinking. You're selfish. When the Su family gets first place and enters the ancestral land, you'll definitely be the one to enter. You're going to sacrifice the young lady to enter the ancestral land. How vicious. Xueqi couldn't help but shout. How dare you, a lowly servant girl, speak to me like this? Slap your mouth. Xueqi's face was cold. She moved and rushed toward Xueqi, wanting to slap him. Xueqi's cultivation was at the LV6 martial royal realm. Although Xueqi had some cultivation, he was only at the LV2 martial royal realm. He could not dodge Xueqi's attack. Stop. Just as Lu Ming was about to make a move, Sule rushed out and hit Xueqi with her palm, causing Xueqi to retreat. Sule's cultivation was similar to Xueqi's, but Sule's spiritual body was much stronger than Sule's. It was a medium-grade earth spiritual body, and her combat strength was far above Xueqi's. Sule, you dare to stop me? I'm telling you, you have no choice today. All of this is for the Su family. Xueqi screamed. No other choice? Why would I? At this moment, Lu Ming, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke. The others could not help but look at Lu Ming. Kid, what do you mean? Xueqi's gaze turned to Lu Ming. Lu Ming smiled and a long spear suddenly condensed in his hand. Whoosh! Lu Ming flicked his hand and the long spear shot toward Zhang Fei at lightning speed. This scene was too sudden. No one had expected that Lu Ming would suddenly kill Zhang Fei. The long spear pierced through Zhang Fei's dantian, destroying his spirit god and nailing him to the ground. Zhang Fei's eyes were wide open in disbelief. Never in his dreams did he expect that Lu Ming would suddenly attack him. Then, the light in Zhang Fei's eyes dimmed, and there was no sign of life. The whole place was silent. Everyone was dumbfounded and thought they were dreaming. You. Xueqi raised her trembling hand and pointed at Lu Ming, unable to say a word. Previously, Lu Ming had been standing there without saying a word. Xueqi had almost ignored him. Never in her wildest dreams did she expect Lu Ming to suddenly attack and kill Zhang Fei in one blow. Now there's no need to choose. He's already a dead man. Lu Ming said indifferently. You dare to kill senior brother Zhang Fei? You're looking for death. You're looking for death. Xueqi screamed hysterically. Zhang Fei's death meant that her plan was ruined. Brat, you're looking for death. Kill. The remaining two disciples of the Divine Sky sect were furious. The aura of LV9 martial royal realm emanated from their bodies. Holy light filled the air as the two geniuses of the Tianshan sect charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his hand and two long spears formed, piercing towards the two heaven deity sect's paragons. The attack and defense of the two heaven god sect paragons were completely destroyed by Lu Ming's long spear. The two long spears pierced through their dantians, destroying their spiritual gods. Just like Zhang Fei, they were nailed to the ground. A one-hit kill. The two geniuses of the Tianshan sect who were at the 9th level of the martial royal realm could not even withstand a single blow from Lu Ming. A loud shout, and all of them vomited blood. How dare you kill a Heaven's Pride expert of the Heavenly God sect? The Heavenly God sect will not let you off no matter where you go. The master of the Su family bellowed. The aura of a third-stage half-saint surged toward Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming stood there calmly. Not even the corner of his clothes fluttered. Damn it, you deserve to die. How dare you kill the senior brother of the Heavenly God sect? No. Xueqi also roared madly. Her plan this time, her painstaking planning, was completely destroyed. Don't forget that the Heaven's Pride expert of the Tianshan sect died in your Su family. If the people of the Tianshan sect knew about this, who knows what they would think? Lu Ming said calmly. Xueqi, the head of the Su family, and the other members of the Su family were shocked. That's right. The Heaven's Pride of the Heavenly God sect had died in the Su family. If the Heavenly God sect knew about this, Who knew if it would implicate the Su family? At that time, the heavenly god sect would be enraged and the Su family would definitely be destroyed. Damn it! The head of the Su family, Xueqi, and the others were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. Not only could they not tell anyone about this matter, but they had to hide it and help Lu Ming hide it. For this matter, you have to pay with your lives. You all have to die. Xueqi screamed hysterically. She had paid an important price to invite the help of the 3 Heavens Pride experts of the Tiantian sect. Her purpose was to help the Su family win so that she could enter the ancestral land and obtain opportunities. But now, all of it was ruined by Lu Ming. She hated Xueqi for not agreeing obediently. She hated Lu Ming for interfering. Kill them all. Xueqi shouted and gave the order. Kill. The Su family experts around the courtyard pounced on Lu Ming, Xueqi, and the rest. These Su family experts were all high-level martial royal realm experts, and some of them were even half-saints. Get lost! Lu Ming's eyes were sharp as he shouted. Not only did Lu Ming use the divine sword technique, but the sound waves also contained a terrifying amount of vital essence. The Su family's experts who were pouncing on Lu Ming and the rest screamed in pain. Then, their bodies seemed to have been hit by a sledgehammer. They retreated at a speed faster than when they had pounced forward, blood spurting out of their mouths. How did this happen? Xueqi and a few others who had not made a move widened their eyes in disbelief. Lu Ming was too terrifying. With one shout, dozens of Su family's experts, including a few half-step saint experts, vomited blood and fell back. What cultivation was that? What kind of combat strength? Xueqi, Su Cha, and Xuelei's mother were also dumbfounded. Senior brother Lu Ming has become stronger again. Xueqi muttered. A year and a half ago, although Lu Ming's cultivation was strong, it was not as exaggerated. Now, his cultivation was simply unfathomable. Buzz! Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning. He looked at Xueqi and clenched his fist. Xueqi screamed and her body flew towards Lu Ming involuntarily. Lu Ming grabbed her neck and lifted her in the air. Father, save me! Xueqi screamed in fear. Release her! The master of the Su family bellowed. He unleashed his cultivation with all his might. The law of wind condensed and enveloped Lu Ming. Have you thought it through? Do you really want to fight me? Lu Ming looked at the master of the Su family. Boom! Then, a terrifying aura burst out from Lu Ming's body. The terrifying laws of chaos filled the air and pressed down on the master of the Su family. And NBSP, the Su family head, felt like he was struck by lightning. His body trembled and he couldn't help but retreat, almost spurting out blood. The difference was too great. In the eyes of the Su family's master, Lu Ming seemed to have transformed into a primordial beast that was undefeatable. The master of the Su family was shocked. His mind whirred. Suddenly, he retracted his aura and actually cupped his fists at Lu Ming. This young master is truly a peerless genius. I was blind before. Please forgive me. This action stunned even Lu Ming. The head of the Su family was indeed the head of a family. He knew the principle of judging the situation. Today's matter has never happened. These 3 people from the heavenly god sect have never appeared in the Su family. Xuelei's position in the Su family will be like Qin Air's. The master of the Su family continued to speak. He wanted to ease the tension between him and Lu Ming and Xueqi. You change your attitude pretty quickly. Get lost. Lu Ming slapped Xueqi's face and sent her flying. Ah, you dare to hit me. Father, kill them. Xueqi screamed hysterically. Shut up. The head of the Su family chided Xueqi, shutting her up. Lu Ming smiled faintly. If they were outside, she would have slapped Xueqi to death. However, this was Xuelei's family after all. She still had other family members in the Su family. He could not go too far. He only needed to establish his authority. Young master, how should I address you? The Su family head smiled and cupped his fists. Lu Ming looked at the master of the Su family and said indifferently. Lu Ming. Oh, it's Brother Lu. Wait, your name is Lu Ming? Lu Ming of the Dragon God Valley? What? The Su family head cried out in shock. 3 years ago, news of Lu Ming's battle with the Divine Sun had spread throughout the Azure region. Even some of the bigger forces had heard of Lu Ming's name. Xueqi and the other experts of the Su family widened their eyes in shock. It turned out that this person was Lu Ming. Had Lu Ming become so powerful? If there's no other Lu Ming in Dragon God Valley, it'll be me, Lu Ming said indifferently. So it's brother Lu Ming. I must have been blind to not recognize the true dragon right before my eyes. Brother Lu Ming, I have a presumptuous request. The family head of the Su family smiled and immediately addressed Lu Ming as his brother. He did not look like he was at daggers drawn with Lu Ming just now. What is it? Lu Ming said. I would like to invite brother Lu Ming to represent the Su family in the competition between the four great families. As long as brother Lu Ming agrees to it, I'm willing to state any conditions. The head of the Su family said. Lu Ming was stunned. He did not expect the Su family's head to ask him to fight for the Su family. It was beyond his expectations. Xueqi's eyes lit up. If Lu Ming made a move, the Su family would definitely win. It's not that I can't take action, but I have two conditions. Lu Ming said. Brother Lu Ming, please tell me. The Su family head was delighted and quickly said. First, in the future, Su Lei and her family will stay in the Su family. I don't want to hear anyone bullying them. Lu Ming said. Don't worry about this. In the future, if Su Lei, her family, and her clansmen dare to bully them in the Su family, I will not let them off easily, no matter who it is. Yes. The head of the Su family agreed readily. The second condition is that if I help the Su family get first place, the person who enters the ancestral land must be Su Lei. Lu Ming said. Impossible. This is impossible. Xueqi yelled. Letting Su Lei enter the ancestral land would have nothing to do with her, so she naturally wouldn't agree. The master of the Su family furrowed his brows. He wanted Lu Ming's help more for Xueqi. Can't it be resolved? The patriarch of the Su family's expression kept changing, and he didn't reply for a moment. What's wrong? Is this condition very difficult to agree to? Lu Ming said indifferently. Brother Lu Ming, can you change your condition? The head of the Su family said. No need to exchange, this old master agrees. At this moment, an old voice was heard. From the depths of the Su family's hole, an elder with white hair stepped out. Saint. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. This elder was a saint, but he was only a lower-tier bright saint. Forefather. And NBSP seeing this old man, the Su family head immediately bowed. We pay our respects to the ancestor. Xueqi and the rest of the Su family, including Su Lei, Su Cha, and Su Lei's mother, all bowed respectfully. This elder was the pillar of the Su family, the only saint. I agree to Lu Ming's conditions. After the Su family wins, Su Lei will be allowed to enter the ancestral land. She is also a direct descendant of the Su family. If she can obtain the opportunity of the ancestral land, it will be the Su family's fortune. The Su family's Saint Realm ancestor said. Yes, ancestor. And NBSP the Su family head nodded and didn't dare to disobey. Xueqi was extremely unwilling, but since old ancestor Su had spoken, she didn't dare to say anything and could only grit her teeth. Also, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because I'm in seclusion. You're the head of the Su family, so you should think about the entire Su family, not your children. If that's the case, you don't need to be the head of the family anymore. Old ancestor Su continued. The head of the Su family broke out in cold sweat and knelt down in fear and trepidation. Please forgive me, ancestor. I won't dare to do it again in the future. In the world of martial Tao, strength spoke for itself. In the Su family, a saint was the king, and he could decide the family head with a word. In front of old ancestor Su, the Su family head didn't even dare to let out a fart. This girl is very talented. In the future, we will focus on nurturing her. The sage realm is in sight. Do you understand? And NBSP old ancestor Su looked at Su Lei and smiled. Then, he looked at the head of the Su family and his eyes flashed. He was in closed-door cultivation all year round. Sometimes, he would be in closed-door cultivation for decades. Therefore, he rarely asked about the Su family's affairs. If he had not been alarmed by Lu Ming's aura and ended his closed-door cultivation, he would have lost a prodigy like Su Lei. With Su Lei's talent, she had the potential to become a saint. It was extremely difficult for a family to produce such a genius. However, the head of the Su family wanted to sacrifice Su Lei in exchange for his daughter's opportunity. And NBSP old ancestor Su's heart was filled with rage. He planned, and it seemed like he had to clean up the Su family. Brother Lu Ming, please. I'll order a banquet to thank you for protecting a genius of the Su family. Su Mo said. The old ancestor of the Su family looked at Lu Ming and said politely, "You're welcome, please." Lu Ming smiled. Then, he entered the depths of the Su family's residence with Su Lei and the rest. As for the few Heaven's Pride experts of the Tianshan sect, there would naturally be someone to deal with them. Moreover, an order had been issued that if anyone were to leak this information, they would be killed without mercy. After the banquet, Lu Ming stayed at the Su family's residence temporarily. The competition between the four families would begin 7 days later. Anyway, there was still some time before the treasure auction. Lu Ming was not in a hurry. He could help the kind-hearted Su Lei. 7 days passed in the blink of an eye. The competition between the four great clans of Gusu City had begun. The venue was a huge square in the center of Gusu City. In the middle of the square, a huge fighting ring had been built. On this day, the square was surrounded by a sea of people. The competition between the four great clans of Gusu City was a rare grand event in Gusu City, so it was only natural that the martial artists of Gusu City would flock to it. There were stands built in all four directions of the square. Lu Ming and the Su family members landed on the stands on the east. After that, the people from the other three families landed on the other three stands. Not long after, the competition officially began. The rules of the competition were very simple. Each family would send 6 young experts to enter the fighting ring together for a team battle. The family that still had people left on the fighting ring would win. The Su family, including Lu Ming, had chosen 6 young men. Su Lei was one of them. Apart from Lu Ming, the strongest among them was only at the 7th level martial royal realm. In the past, the Su family would always invite some external help. However, this time with Lu Ming, the Su family naturally did not need to invite external help. Buzz! Buzz! And NBSP whoosh! From all directions, figures rushed up the fighting ring. There were exactly 6 people in each direction. As soon as the others jumped onto the fighting ring, they started sizing each other up. After that, there would be a chaotic battle. Naturally, he had to observe the enemy well before he knew how to fight. Haha, Xueqi. Your Su family actually doesn't have any external help this time? No, only one external helper? Have you already given up on the competition? Ha 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 ha. A loud laugh rang out. From the south, a middle-aged man sneered at the Su family head. Apart from that person, the highest cultivation among the others is only at LV7 Martial Royal Realm. It seems that the Su family has really given up. Let's eliminate the Su family first and have a battle between the 3 families. A voice came from the west. The people who spoke were the family heads of the other 3 families. Just like the Su family's master, they were all at the 3rd stage of the half-saint realm and had the cultivation base of the law tank. They could clearly see the cultivation of Su Lei and the others with a sweep of their spiritual senses. There was only one exception, and that was Lu Ming. He had cast the illusionary breath technique, so they could not see his cultivation level clearly. However, they did not care too much about it. They did not believe that Lu Ming's cultivation level was very strong. Wait a minute. You'll be the ones crying. A cold smile appeared on the Su family member's face, but he didn't say anything. There was no point in saying anything now. In a moment, he would let them know the power of the Su family. The family head has spoken. Well, deal with the Su family first. On the fighting ring, one of the 6 people from the south sneered and looked at Lu Ming's group. I also think that the 4 sides are too complicated. Let's deal with the weakest one first. One of the 6 people on the west side sneered. Then, the 3 groups of people stepped forward and pressed toward Lu Ming and the others. Powerful auras bloomed one by one. They were all high-level Martial Royal Realm experts, and each side had several LV9 Martial Royal Realm experts. Among the 6 people of the Su family, except for Su Lei, the rest of them turned pale. 7 days ago, Lu Ming had shown his prowess at the Su family. Only some of the higher-ups and stronger people had participated. These young people had not participated and naturally did not know how powerful Lu Ming was. What do we do? A young man's face was covered in cold sweat. The other 3 families all had external help, and each of them was much stronger than them. Not to mention the 3 families had joined forces. The result was obvious without a fight. Can't you just solve it? Lu Ming smiled and walked to the center of the fighting ring. You don't want to live anymore. What do you want to do? What should we do? A young man from the Su family was at a loss. I want to. Well, just watch. Xueqi said timidly. It's over? The other 4 young men from the Su family were dumbfounded. What? What did that mean? The young experts from the other 3 families also looked at Lu Ming. What did the Su family mean by this? To let one person walk to the center of the stage while the other 5 watched from the edge of the fighting ring, what kind of strategy was this? Did they want Lu Ming to deal with the 3 of them alone? At this time, the other 3 family heads also frowned. They could not see through Lu Ming's cultivation. They guessed that Lu Ming had cultivated a wonderful concealment technique. Initially, they thought that no matter how strong Lu Ming's cultivation was, it would not be that strong. However, it seemed that something was not right now. They had a bad feeling in their hearts, especially when they saw the Su family head's calm expression. They felt that something was wrong. All of you, attack together. Lu Ming stood in the middle of the fighting ring with his hands behind his back. What? You want us to attack together? This kid is so arrogant. He's indeed arrogant. There are so many of us here. We're not even afraid of a half-saint, so how could he be a half-saint? Such a young half-saint can only be found in 13 top sects, and the number is very small. Now that the treasure-fixing assembly is about to start, those masters are all preparing for it. Why would they come to participate in the competition of several small families? Stop pretending. Let's attack together and blast him off the fighting stage. A series of surprised and cold voices rang out. Following that, the experts from the 3 major families made their move. There were a total of 18 of them, and they charged towards Lu Ming. All kinds of light gathered together, and it was extremely terrifying. With so many experts attacking at the same time, even an existence at the first stage of the half-saint realm would have to retreat. Lu Ming's figure still did not move. He only took a step forward. Bang! He took a step forward, and the fighting stage shook. 3 9 dragons roared and rushed out, pouncing on the experts of the 3 families. It was unstoppable, and it charged forward with crushing force. The bodies of the 18 young experts from the 3 families were like 18 balls. They flew backward and spat out blood in the air. Bang! 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 The 18 young men fell out of the fighting ring like dumplings, lying on the ground and wailing. Silence! The square fell into a dead silence. It had ended. It actually ended like this? Lu Ming had only taken 1 step forward and the competition had ended. Many ancient martial art practitioners from Xueqi City had rushed over to watch a fierce battle. They did not expect that the rare grand event in Xueqi City would end right after it had begun. Some people were so distracted that they didn't even see how it ended. The patriarchs of the other 3 families and the other experts were tongue-tied and completely speechless. Ha ha ha, you're too kind. This time, the ancestral land will belong to my Su family. Ha 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 ha. The head of the Su family laughed heartily. He had been depressed that Xueqi couldn't enter the ancestral land, but now he felt much better. The 4 great clans of Xueqi City were constantly at war with each other. When had he ever seen such an expression on the faces of the clan heads of the other 3 great clans? Xueqi sighed beside the Su family head. Xueqi actually got Lu Ming's help. She felt helpless and sighed in her heart. Xueqi was too lucky. I didn't expect that the Su family would invite such a powerful young heaven's favorite. He must be a heaven's favorite from the 13 top sections. His cultivation must be in the half-saint realm. Humph! The Su family is lucky this time. As for the other clans, they could only watch their mouths. Many of the spectators were also helpless. A grand event had ended just like that. Cut the crap. Now, go and open the ancestral land. The head of the Su family said. The ancestral land had to be opened by the family heads of the 4 great clans at the same time. This had been the rule in Xueqi City for many years. Although the family heads of the other 3 great clans were unwilling, they had no choice but to open it. They could only place their hopes on the next competition. Xueqi, let's go. The master of the Su family rose into the air and looked at Xueqi. Then, he turned to Lu Ming and said, Brother Lu, every time someone enters the ancestral land, there must be a protector. How about you go in with Xueqi? Sure, no problem. Lu Ming nodded. Lu Ming, Xueqi, and the 4 family patriarchs rose into the air and flew to the north of the square. Not far from the north of the square, there was a small palace. Everyone walked into the palace and saw a stone wall. On the stone wall, there were all kinds of strange patterns. "Let's start," the head of the Su family said. The other 3 patriarchs nodded, and the 4 of them struck out at the same time. They slammed their palms on the stone wall, and their Zhan Yuan crazily surged into it. The stone wall emitted a bright light. Kacha! The stone wall suddenly split open, and a pitch-black vortex appeared. "Sule, go in. What kind of fortune you can obtain in the ancestral land will depend on your luck," the head of the Su family said. "Yes." Sule nodded and stepped into the vortex with Lu Ming. The space turned, and in the next moment, Lu Ming found that they were in an open space. The open space was very large, but it was surrounded by a vast expanse of white. In front of them, there was a ball of light floating in the air, like a sun. "Is that the soul of the ancestor?" Sule muttered and then knelt down respectfully. Facing the ball of light, she knelt down and kowtowed respectfully. "What?" Lu Ming stood beside Sule and looked at the ball of light, deep in thought. In the past few days, he had heard Sule mention the ancestral land. Sule didn't know much either. She only knew that every time a member of the 4 great families entered this place, they would have to kneel down and pay their respects to the ball of light. Then, they would walk into the ball of light and obtain an opportunity. From time to time, holy weapons, pills, cultivation manuals, and other treasures would fly out of the ball of light. As for what one could obtain, it all depended on fate. Sule knelt down and walked towards the light. When it reached a certain distance, a beam of light flew down from the ball of light and fell on Sule's body. Sule's body trembled slightly as if she was under great pressure, but she gritted her teeth and held on. Lu Ming was constantly paying attention to Sule. If anything happened to Sule, he would come to her rescue in time. There had once been disciples of the 4 great families who had fallen here because they couldn't withstand the pressure of the light beam. Therefore, after entering, there would always be someone to follow and protect them. Sule gritted her teeth. Her delicate little face revealed a stubborn and determined look as she continued to step forward. Step by step, Sule seemed to have difficulty walking. Not long after, her body was drenched in sweat, and her face was covered in fragrant sweat. But Sule didn't give up. She gritted her teeth and continued to step forward firmly. Not long after, Sule's petite body trembled more and more violently. Blood even seeped out of her skin. Lu Ming did not make a move. He understood that this was a test for Sule. As long as Sule could endure it, she would transform. As long as Sule's life was not in danger, Lu Ming would not take action. Chapter 1664 Mysterious Een Dragon under Lu Ming's gaze. Sule continued to move forward. Roar! Suddenly, a dragon's roar came from Sule's body. A true dragon's shadow appeared on Sule's body, emitting a shocking cold air. Mysterious Een Dragon body. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. At this moment, a dragon's roar was heard from the brilliant light. Then, the light flew directly towards Sule and enveloped her. Slowly, the ball of light turned into a true dragon. The appearance of this true dragon was extremely similar to the vacuum that appeared on Sule's body. The mysterious Een Dragon. Roar! The true dragon formed by the light wrapped around Sule. Sule seemed to have sensed something. She sat down cross-legged and closed her eyes. She looked solemn. Whoosh! In front of her, a bracelet flew over and floated above Sule's head. Inheritance. Storage bracelet. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and a smile appeared on his face. Then, he took a step forward and appeared where the ball of light had been. There, a snow-white jade-like bone chi was lying on the ground. True dragon bone goo. As expected. The smile on Lu Ming's face grew wider. It turned out that a powerful true dragon had fallen in the so-called ancestral land. Although the true dragon had fallen, its soul was not destroyed. Therefore, every time the Su family's disciples came, the true dragon's soul would give them a treasure. The bracelet floating above Sule's head was the storage bracelet of the true dragon. The function of a storage bracelet was the same as a storage ring. It contained space and was a treasure for storing items. Moreover, this true dragon was the mysterious Een Dragon, which was a perfect match for Sule's physique. Therefore, when Sule came in this time, the soul of the true dragon wanted to pass the inheritance to her. From now on, the descendants of the 4 great families would not be able to obtain any benefits when they entered. Lu Ming's mind turned and he understood everything clearly. This was Su Lei's chance. However, this dragon's bone was of great use to Lu Ming. When this mysterious dragon was alive, it was definitely not just at the Bright Saint stage. It was at least above the Great Saint stage. Since Lu Ming had come across it, he would not miss it. He waved his hand and kept the dragon bone. Then, he sat cross-legged not far from Su Lei and waited. From the looks of it, the inheritance wouldn't end any time soon. The figure of the mysterious dragon wrapped around Su Lei's body, and the light continuously seeped into Su Lei's body. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. At this moment, the true dragon that was coiling around Su Lei's body had completely disappeared. A terrifying cold chi spread out from Su Lei's body, and a river of profound water curled around her body. My body constitution has actually evolved into a superior earth spiritual body, and is infinitely close to a heaven spiritual body. My cultivation has also reached the peak of the LV6 martial royal realm. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with shock. Su Lei's physique was originally a medium-grade earth spiritual body, but now it had reached a superior-grade earth spiritual body, which was infinitely close to a heaven spiritual body. The power of the mysterious river was absolutely terrifying. An ordinary 6th or even 7th level martial emperor would be frozen to death in an instant. Su Lei's cultivation had previously been at the early stage of the 6th level martial emperor realm. Now, it had advanced to the peak of the 6th level martial emperor realm. Although the improvement was not much, Su Lei's cultivation speed would be astonishing and she would advance by leaps and bounds in the future. Lu Ming smiled. He was happy for this kind young lady. Roar! A dragon's roar resounded. A light pillar rushed out of Su Lei's body and went straight into the sky. The entire area was shaking violently. Lu Ming knew that the legacy had entered its final stage. The soul of the mysterious dragon would soon be annihilated. However, this was his own choice. Outside the ancestral land, the 4 family patriarchs and the others were waiting. What's going on? It's already been half a month since we entered the ancestral land. In the past, when others entered the ancestral land, it would take no more than 3 days before they came out. Why is it half a month this time? Don't tell me they all died inside. Many people were making guesses. The patriarchs of the 4 great families also had unsightly expressions. Roar! All of a sudden, a dragon's roar came from the ancestral land. Then, the vortex on the stone wall burst out with a bright light. The stone wall shook violently and exploded with a bang. How did this happen? What happened inside? The family patriarchs of the big families started to shout. At that moment, an extremely terrifying aura burst out from the 4 directions of Gusu City. The vast pressure enveloped the entire city. Then, 4 figures appeared in the air. Each figure was shrouded in brilliant holy light, and their holy might bloomed. The Saint Realm patriarchs of the 4 families have been alerted. Someone exclaimed. The 4 Saint Realm patriarchs of the 4 great families descended at the entrance of the ancestral land. What's going on? Old Ancestor Su spoke. Patriarch, I don't know what happened. Su Lei and the others have been in there for half a month and haven't come out yet. Now, such a shocking change suddenly happened. The head of the Su family said. The ancestral land has changed. Let's go in and take a look. Let's go in. The Saint Realm patriarchs of the other families said one after another. Then, they stepped into the vortex and disappeared. The patriarchs of the big families also followed their patriarchs into the ancestral land. Let's go in too. And NBSP Old Ancestor Su said to the Su family head, and then the 2 of them charged into the ancestral land. The Saint Realm patriarchs and clan leaders of the 4 families saw Lu Ming and Su Lei sitting cross-legged as soon as they entered the ancestral land. But everyone's eyes were on Su Lei. The inheritance. The inheritance has been taken by her. Detestable. The Saint Realm patriarchs of the other 3 families growled, and their eyes were full of killing intent. What do you want? This is the opportunity of my Su family's disciples. Do you want to interfere? The Su family's Saint Realm ancestor said. What opportunity? This place originally belonged to our 4 great clans. Now that she has completely obtained the inheritance, the future generation of disciples who come here will not be able to obtain anything. That's right. That storage bracelet should have been left behind by the ancestral land. We must get it and split the treasures inside equally. The Saint Realm patriarchs spoke one after another. Old Ancestor Su and the head of the Su family had ugly expressions. These people were too overbearing. According to the rules of the four great families, when the younger generation entered this place, no matter what kind of opportunities they obtained, they would all belong to them. Of course, this included all the inheritances. But now, the patriarchs of the other families were obviously envious and unwilling to give up. They wanted to split it equally. The Saint Realm patriarchs naturally knew about the ancestral land. But in the past, when the mysterious Dragon's dragon soul was still around, even they didn't dare to have any ideas. This was because there had been sage realm powerhouses who had thought of getting their hands on the mysterious Dragon's dragon soul in the past and had been killed here. But now they no longer had such concerns. The saints of the three races, do you want to go against the rules set by the four families? Old Ancestor Su's face was ugly. The rules? What a joke. Rules are set by humans. Now we can set new rules. The old ancestor of the Cheng family, one of the four great families, sneered. That's right. Do you want to stop us? Hee, that's great. The other Saint Realm old ancestor said. Old Ancestor Su and family head Su's expressions changed. The other party's intention was obvious. If the Su family wanted to stop them, they could take this opportunity to join forces and destroy the Su family. Creak. And NBSP old ancestor Su clenched his fists and then sighed. Then let's split the treasures in the storage bracelet equally between the four of us. How about that? That's more like it. However, that girl is currently receiving the inheritance. We have to interrupt her immediately and extract the inheritance. Well, split it among the four families. That's right, the benefits can't be taken by the Su family alone. The other patriarchs said indifferently. Don't you go too far. Old Ancestor Su hollered. He was really furious like a furious lion. He stared at the other three old ancestors and hollered, if we forcefully interrupt the process of receiving the inheritance, the person receiving the inheritance will definitely suffer a backlash and die. Moreover, the inheritance can't be extracted. How would you know if you don't try? The Chung family's old ancestor said casually. That's right. We'll know if it works or not after we try. Another ancestor said coldly. Their eyes were filled with coldness. What did Su Lei's life and death have to do with them? Moreover, they could not allow the Su family to obtain the complete inheritance. Otherwise, if they were to rise to power in the future, would the other families still have a place in Gusu City? They knew that Su Lei would definitely die if they interrupted her inheritance. Moreover, the inheritance could not be extracted. But their goal was to kill Su Lei. You've gone too far. Today, I won't let you touch my Su family even if I die. Old Ancestor Su hollered and a terrifying aura spread out from his body. Su Lei had obtained the inheritance of the ancestral land and was the hope of the Su family. He could not let her die. And NBSP the Su family head stood beside Old Ancestor Su. Hee, Old Man Su. I'm afraid you're not enough. I'll deal with this old man. I'll leave the girl to you. The Chung family's old ancestor sneered. His body also emitted a shocking aura as he stepped towards the Su family's old ancestor. The auras clashed in the air, causing rumbling sounds. The Chung family's master had his eyes on the Su family's master. There's no need for the patriarch to deal with a little girl. I can do it. The head of the Hong family from the other family spoke and walked towards Su Lei. Old Ancestor Su's eyes were filled with despair. The patriarchs of the four great clans were all at the initial Bright Saint realm. None of them could do anything to the other. He alone could not stop the other three great clans. The head of the Hong family revealed a sinister smile on his face as he approached Su Lei. Of course, he was still cautious, because Su Lei had accepted the inheritance of the mysterious dragon. He didn't know if the soul of the mysterious dragon was still there. As for Lu Ming, who was sitting beside Su Lei, he was completely ignored. In the competition half a month ago, although Lu Ming had displayed terrifying abilities, he was a third-stage half-saint and a powerhouse whose body was filled with laws. He did not take Lu Ming seriously at all. At this moment, Lu Ming opened his eyes. There was a cold look in his eyes. Get lost. Lu Ming spat out the word scram. Kid, what did you say? The head of the Hong family was slightly taken aback, and then he revealed a sinister smile. If you don't get lost, you'll die. Lu Ming's voice was even colder. What big words. Then I'll kill you first. The master of the Hong family was filled with cold killing intent. He sent a palm strike towards Lu Ming. Bang! At this moment, Lu Ming made his move. He suddenly pounced toward the master of the Hong family and made a grabbing motion. All the attacks and defenses of the Hong family's master were instantly destroyed. Lu Ming looked down from above, grabbed his throat, and slammed him onto the ground. Boom! The ground trembled and a huge crater was formed. The bones and armor of the master of the Hong family were broken. Not only that, Lu Ming's terrifying destructive power rushed into his body and destroyed his spiritual god. You! Blood gushed out of the master of the Hong family's mouth as he stared at Lu Ming in disbelief. Then, his head tilted to the side and he breathed his last. At the scene, everyone else was also stunned. Lu Ming had killed the master of the Hong family with one move. He was a third-stage half-saint, an expert who was affected by the laws. The master of the Su family broke out in a cold sweat. He was glad that he did not attack Lu Ming back then. Otherwise, he would most likely end up the same way. Brat, you're looking for death. The patriarch of the Hong family came back to his senses. A terrifying aura burst out of his body, and a vast saint might pressed toward Lu Ming. At the same time, the patriarch of the Hong family took a step forward and charged towards Lu Ming. A terrifying saber radiance slashed down at Lu Ming. Stop! The Su family's old ancestor roared and wanted to help Lu Ming. However, the Chung family's old ancestor struck out a palm towards him. He had no choice but to counterattack to protect himself. The patriarch of the Hong family's terrifying saber gleam was about to land on Lu Ming's head. Lu Ming's palm glowed and the flowing elemental water jacket covered his palm. He raised his hand and grabbed the Hong family patriarch's saber flare. The saber flare stopped in mid-air. Behead him! The patriarch of the Hong family roared. His holy power was boiling and the power of law burst out. He wanted to cut Lu Ming and his hand in half. However, the gleam of the blade remained in the air, in Lu Ming's hand. It did not fall at all. What's going on? The patriarch's heart trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He was a sage. How could Lu Ming block his attack so easily? Bang! Lu Ming exerted force and the other party's saber gleam shattered like glass. Then, Lu Ming used the thundering wind steps and appeared in front of the Hong family's patriarch with a single step. He then threw a punch. The flowing essence gloves glowed, and the laws of chaos burst forth. It destroyed everything as if it was a piece of rotten wood. The patriarch of the Hong family slashed with all his might, but it was shattered by Lu Ming's punch. Bang! Lu Ming's fist landed heavily on the body of the patriarch of the Hong family. The patriarch let out a blood-curdling screech as a huge hole was blasted in his body. He was sent flying far away and spat out a mouthful of blood. Whoosh! Following that, the black dragon spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It shot out like lightning and pierced through the glabella of the patriarch of the Hong family, nailing him to the ground. He was dead. He was dead. The patriarch of the Hong family was killed by Lu Ming just like that. At this moment, the others were all staring at Lu Ming in shock. Their eyes widened in disbelief. A saint had been killed just like that, and it had seemed so easy. They had only heard of saints being killed by non-saints in legends. However, it was happening right in front of their eyes. It made them feel like they were in a dream. The second stage of half-saint. The old ancestor of Chung family muttered. They could finally see Lu Ming's cultivation level clearly. Chapter 1666 Returning to Dragon God Valley. The second stage of half-saint. The others' hearts trembled. He was only at the second stage of the half-saint realm, but he could easily kill a master of the saint realm. This kind of combat power was too terrifying. Let's go! After a while, the others finally reacted. They roared and retreated, trying to leave this place. I said just now, if you don't leave, you'll die. It's too late to leave now. Lu Ming said coldly. Light spots appeared around his body. 36 holy weapons floated in the air. The chi of combat weapons gathered and reached a terrifying level. Whoosh! The black dragon spear had long returned to Lu Ming's hands. He then flung it out and nailed a clan leader to the ground. Lu Ming gripped his sword and stepped into the void, charging toward a Saint Realm patriarch. Kill, die! Lu Ming shouted as he unleashed his divine sword technique. The Saint Realm patriarch trembled. At this moment, Lu Ming's combat sword had already arrived. The Saint Realm patriarch was easily killed by Lu Ming. Another sage had fallen. At the scene, only the Chung family's old ancestor and the Chung family's head were left. However, The two of them were being held back by the Su family's old ancestor and head. "Spare me!" The Saint Realm Patriarch of the Chung family was horrified when he saw Lu Ming approaching. He begged for mercy. "Kill!" Lu Ming's eyes were extremely cold. He used the divine sword technique once again. The Chung family's patriarch shuddered. Then, Lu Ming's combat sword slashed across. The Chung family's patriarch was killed by Lu Ming's sword while he was extremely frightened and unwilling. Then, with a flash of sword radiance, the Chung family's patriarch was also killed. Previously, it was the Cheng family's patriarch who was the most arrogant. Was it possible for him to beg for mercy? At this point, the patriarchs and clan leaders of the other three great clans had all fallen here. The Su family's old ancestor and family patriarch looked at Lu Ming in shock. They were still in a daze. Dead. All the Saint Realm patriarchs and clan leaders of the other three families were dead. From the moment Lu Ming made his move to the moment he killed the experts from the three major families, it took less than a minute. Such astonishing battle prowess had simply exceeded their imaginations. Freak. He's a true freak. No wonder he dared to challenge the Divine Sun. Right now, everyone in the Azure continent thinks that Lu Ming will definitely lose and be killed by the Divine Sun. But now, it seems that's not necessarily the case. That's not the case at all. The entire Azure continent has underestimated Lu Ming. Many thoughts flashed through the minds of old ancestor Su and the Su family leader. Then the two of them were overjoyed. The most powerful people from the other three great clans were all dead. From now on, no one in Gusu City would be a match for the Su clan. The Su clan was going to dominate Gusu City. All of this was because of Lu Ming. Thinking up to this point, the Su family's head felt waves of fear in his heart. Fortunately, he had changed his mind and decided to rope Lu Ming in. Otherwise, the Su family would have been destroyed. With a single thought, he had completely changed the Su family's fate. The Su family head's heart was extremely complicated. However, he secretly swore that he would rope in Lu Ming and treat Su Lei well in the future. Lu Ming was very calm. With a leap, he put away the storage rings of the powerhouses from the major families, as well as the saint hearts of the three saints. Then he continued to wait. Not long after, Su Lei's body emitted a powerful aura. Then the aura quickly converged, and Su Lei opened her eyes. Oh. Old ancestor. Patriarch. When Su Lei saw the Su family's old ancestor and family head, she quickly stood up and bowed. Don't be so polite, don't be so polite. Old ancestor Su quickly helped Su Lei up. Su Lei and Lu Ming were very close. He even guessed that the two of them might have a special relationship. He did not dare to let Su Lei bow to him. Su Lei stood up and was even more surprised when she saw the corpses of the experts from the other three families. Let's go, Lu Ming said. The four of them headed toward the exit, and in the next moment, they appeared outside the ancestral land. Outside the ancestral land, many people were waiting. At this moment, when they saw Lu Ming and the rest coming out, they all looked at them. Let's go back to the Su family. Old ancestor Su gave the order. Lu Ming and the rest returned to the Su family with the disciples. The disciples of the other three families waited outside the ancestral land for a long time, but they didn't see their patriarchs and family patriarchs. They became anxious. After that, they sent people into the ancestral land, only to find that the ancestors and clan leaders of the three families were all dead. As soon as this news was released, Gusu City was in an uproar. Everyone was extremely shocked. The ancestors and clan leaders of the three families were all dead in the ancestral land, while the Su family was safe and sound. Everyone knew that Gusu City was about to change. The members of the other three families were all terrified. As for the Su family's old ancestor and the Su family's head, they had started to make arrangements the moment they returned to the Su family. Now, Gusu City was about to be unified. However, this had nothing to do with Lu Ming. The next day, Lu Ming bid farewell to the Su family's patriarch and patriarch. He was going back to Dragon God Valley. Senior brother Lu Ming, I'll go back with you, Su Lei said. Now, her mother and her clansman's status in the Su family had risen, so she could naturally rest assured. All right. Lu Ming nodded and brought Su Lei out of Gusu City. The Su family's patriarch and the rest sent them all the way to the outside of Gusu City. Everyone, please go back. Lu Ming took out the space-breaking flying shuttle and entered it with Su Lei. The space-breaking flying shuttle shot away like lightning and disappeared in the sky. Xueqi, it's best not to reveal the fact that Lu Ming killed a saint before the final battle between Lu Ming and the Divine Sun. And NBSP old ancestor Su sent a message to the SU family head. I know, forefather. And NBSP the SU family head nodded. Only the two of them knew about this matter. They understood that the fewer people who knew about this, the better. If the people from the deity sect knew about this, they would most likely harm Lu Ming in advance. Now, they naturally hoped that Lu Ming would win. Lu Ming was so close to Su Lei. The stronger Lu Ming was, the more benefits the SU family would get in the future. In the blink of an eye, another 7 days had passed. Lu Ming finally returned to Dragon God Valley. Senior brother Lu Ming, when are you going to the treasure sealing assembly? I'll go with you. Su Lei spoke timidly. Her voice was very soft and she sounded a little nervous as if she was afraid that Lu Ming would reject her. All right, when I'm going to the Tsang Mountains, I'll send you a message. Lu Ming smiled. MMH. Su Lei nodded repeatedly, her face blushing. After that, Lu Ming and Su Lei parted ways. Lu Ming returned to Cloud Dragon Valley. Master. As soon as he entered the Cloud Dragon Valley, he heard a crisp cry. A petite figure was charging towards Lu Ming. Fragrance. Lu Ming revealed a smile. This petite figure was naturally his disciple, Lu Xiangxiang. Junior brother. You're finally back. During this period of time, Xiangxiang has missed you very much. She has been asking when Master will be back every day. A heroic voice rang out as Long Yuan Mountain stepped over. Second Senior. Lu Ming cupped his fists. He had already sent a message to Long Yuan Mountain previously. Otherwise, he wouldn't have met Long Yuan Mountain and Xiangxiang so coincidentally the moment he returned. I'll take a spot, second senior brother. You've broken through to the Sage Realm? Congratulations! Lu Ming sized up Long Yuan Mountain and was overjoyed to find that there was saint power surging on Long Yuan Mountain. Haha, I've wasted so much time to break through to the Saint Realm. Your third senior brother and the others have long broken through to the Saint Realm. Long Yuan Shan laughed. With second senior brother's talent, he'll definitely be able to break through the Saint Realm in one day. He'll definitely be able to do so in the future. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming had heard Tian Chue and Xuening Xin mention that Long Yuan Mountain had been severely injured when they were young. It had damaged their source, which caused their cultivation to progress extremely slowly. They had been stuck at the half-saint realm and were unable to break through. It was said that when Long Yuan Mountain was young, they went out to train with their big senior brother and met a strong enemy. In that battle, their big senior brother died and Long Yuan Mountain was seriously injured. This was also a knot in Long Yuan Mountain's heart, and also the obstacle that stopped him from moving forward. Long Yuan Mountain smiled and didn't say much. Xiangxiang, come, let Master see how your cultivation is. Lu Ming turned his gaze to Xiangxiang. More than a year had passed, and Xiangxiang had grown a lot taller. She was already more than 9 years old, and had a slender and elegant feeling. With one look, one could tell that she was a beauty. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat when he saw it. Xiangxiang, you've broken through to the spiritual god realm? That's right. She just broke through not long ago. Xiangxiang's cultivation hasn't dropped, right? Xiangxiang Bela blinked her large eyes and said. Lu Ming's lips trembled. Not only did it not fall, but it was also very fast. More than a year ago, Xiangxiang Bela's cultivation was only at the peak of the martial king realm. It had only been a year, but Xiangxiang Bela had already crossed several major realms and broken through to the spiritual god realm in one go. A 9-year-old spiritual god realm. Even with Lu Ming's state of mind, he was shocked. Haha, 9th junior brother, are you shocked? Xiangxiang is extremely talented and rare. If we don't work hard, I'm afraid that Xiangxiang will surpass us soon. Long Yuan Mountain laughed. That's possible. Lu Ming muttered and felt a sense of pressure. As her master, if he were to be surpassed by Xiangxiang Bela in the future, that would be too embarrassing. Of course, he was still very happy. Although he was under pressure, he still hoped that Xiangxiang Bela would be as strong as possible. By the way, second senior, where's Master? Lu Ming asked. Master has something to do during this period of time. I don't know what it is exactly, so I'll be cultivating with Xiangxiang Bela during this period of time. Long Yuan Mountain said. Oh. Lu Ming nodded. It seemed that the Cloud Dragon Valley Master was really in trouble. Ninth junior brother. You've come back at the right time. Today, Dragon God Valley is holding the selection of the spots for the treasure-fixing assembly. You should still be able to make it if you go now. Longyuan Mountain said. Screening of the slots? Lu Ming was surprised. In the past, anyone above LV7 Martial Royal Realm and below the age of 50 could participate in the treasure-fixing assembly. Why was there a need to screen this time? Ninth junior brother, the rules of this time's treasure-sealing assembly have been changed. In recent years, there have been many experts and geniuses among the younger generation. As a result, there are too many people above the 7th level Martial Emperor realm. There are also many more geniuses who are stronger. Therefore, it is meaningless to have too many people above the 7th level Martial Emperor realm participate. Therefore, this time, the rules have been changed to each sect sending 20 of their strongest geniuses to participate. Longyuan Mountain explained. Only 20? Lu Ming said. That's right. That's why the 7 elders of the Dragon God Valley will first recommend 20 people. Then, the others will challenge these 20 people. The winner will replace the other person's position and become one of the 20 people. In the end, when no one challenges, the 20 places will be determined. Ninth junior brother. Let's go. You'll definitely be able to get a spot. Longyuan Mountain said. All right. Lu Ming nodded and brought Xiangxiang Bela along with Longyuan Mountain, flying towards a huge snow mountain. Soon, they arrived at the competition venue. The top of a large snow mountain was very flat. There was a fighting stage in the middle, and it was surrounded by people. On the northern side of the formation, there was a row of seats, and the people sitting on them were the high-level and strong people of the 7 great valleys of Dragon God Valley. On the edge of the fighting ring stood a row of people. These were the 20 people selected by the 7 great valleys. 7th senior brother. 8th senior sister. Lu Ming saw Tianque and Xueqi among the 20 people. 7th brother and 8th sister have reached the first stage of the half-saint realm. They're quite good among the younger generation of Dragon God Valley. Longyuan Mountain said. Lu Ming nodded. More than a year ago, Tianque and Xueqi had reached the 8th level of the Martial Royal Realm. It had been a long time since then. With their talents, it was normal for them to reach the first stage of the half-saint realm. Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. At this moment, someone saw Lu Ming and exclaimed in surprise. What? Lu Ming had appeared? Where is it? Immediately, many people turned to look around and their eyes landed on Lu Ming. Everyone in the Dragon God Valley knew that Lu Ming had challenged the Divine Sun. However, in the past 3 years, Lu Ming rarely appeared. Everyone was very curious about what realm Lu Ming had reached. Lu Ming pulled Xiangxiang Bela and landed in the seating area with Longyuan Mountain. Cloud Dragon Valley was one of the 7 valleys. Now that Longyuan Mountain had broken through to the Saint Realm, they naturally had the right to sit here. A cold and gloomy gaze swept toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming immediately sensed it and looked at the other party. The Master of Silver Dragon Valley. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. The Master of Silver Dragon Valley cast a cold glance at Lu Ming and turned away. Now, the challenge will continue. Who else wants to challenge? An elder of the Saint Realm presided over the battle, and his voice spread across the entire arena. I'll do it. A young man rushed into the fighting ring and chose to challenge a LV9 Martial Royal Realm young man. The young man who had challenged him was also at the LV9 Martial Royal Realm. The two of them exchanged more than a dozen moves before the young man was defeated. Following that, a few more people went up to challenge him, but they were all defeated one by one. Those who could be selected by the elders of the 7 great valleys were definitely carefully selected. They were the strongest among the younger generation of the Dragon God Valley. It was not easy for ordinary people to challenge them. From the start of the challenge until now, there had already been dozens of people who had gone up to challenge, but not a single person had succeeded. Is there anyone else who wants to challenge me? The hosting elder asked again. I'll go up and get a spot. At this moment, Lu Ming stood up and took a step forward, appearing on the fighting ring. Everyone's heart trembled and their eyes landed on Lu Ming. Lu Ming had disappeared for too long. No one knew his current ability. Therefore, Lu Ming's name was not among the first 20 spots. Now that Lu Ming had made a move, would he be able to succeed in the challenge? During the previous treasure auction, Lu Ming swept through everyone and his combat strength was shocking. Now that such a long time has passed, it shouldn't be a problem for him to obtain another spot. That's right. It shouldn't be a problem for him to obtain a spot. I just don't know what cultivation realm he's at right now. Many people around the fighting ring were guessing. Chapter 1668. Old Dog. In the previous treasure settlement party, Lu Ming had swept the entire place with his powerful combat strength. However, Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the LV4 Martial Royal Realm. It had been almost 3 years. What level had Lu Ming's cultivation reached? At least a high-level Martial Emperor? Haha, 9th junior brother. You're finally back. We can fight side by side again. Tian Xue laughed. In his opinion, it would be a piece of cake for Lu Ming to get a spot. 7th senior brother. 8th senior sister. How have you been? Let's have a drink after the challenge. Lu Ming said with a smile. Good haha. Tian Xue and Xueqi both smiled and nodded. Lu Ming, who do you want to challenge? The hosting elder looked at Lu Ming. Hell do. Lu Ming's gaze swept across the room and landed on a silver-robed young man. This man was obviously a proud son of Heaven of Silver Dragon Valley. Who else could she pick? Humph, Lu Ming, that was then and this is now. 3 years ago, your combat strength was strong, but it may not be the same now. The young man stepped forward, and a powerful aura emanated from his body. The aura of the peak LV9 Martial Royal Realm. Moreover, since this person was chosen, his talent was naturally not bad. Even if he was not a superior Earth spiritual body, he was at least a medium Earth spiritual body. Make your move. It'll give you the chance to make your move. Lu Ming said calmly. In his opinion, the 9th level of the Martial Royal Realm was just a formality. Arrogant. Then I'll send you down. Silver Dragon Claw. The Silver Dragon Valley's paragon bellowed. A layer of silver-white dragon scales emerged on the surface of his body. He clawed at Lu Ming, leaving a terrible mark in the air. In an instant, it was in front of Lu Ming. So powerful. Let's see how Lu Ming will crack it. Someone exclaimed. At this moment, Lu Ming stretched out a hand. He moved later but reached first. He was as fast as lightning and grabbed the other party's wrist. The other party's arm and even his entire body stopped in the air. Break! The other party's expression changed, and he suddenly roared. His entire body emitted a dazzling silver light, and a dragon's roar sounded. However, before his silver light could explode, Lu Ming swung his arm. Bang! The other party was smashed to the ground, and the fighting ring made a violent roar. With a wave of Lu Ming's hand, the other party's body was thrown out of the fighting ring like a broken sack. He fell to the ground with a dumbfounded look on his face. Many people were also dumbfounded. The Heaven's Pride expert at the peak of the 9th level Martial Royal Realm of Silver Dragon Valley was defeated just like that. It was too easy. Lu Ming did not even move a single step. Although some people felt that Lu Ming would win in the beginning, they did not expect him to win so easily. Could it be that Lu Ming had already broken through to the half-saint realm? Humph! Humph! The master of Silver Dragon Valley snorted, his face gloomy. Haha, 9th junior brother. You're amazing. Tian Xue laughed. 9th junior brother. You're so gentle. Xueqi said. Lu Ming smiled. He had been merciful just now. Otherwise, the other party would have been dead. Lu Ming won this round and entered the top 20. Who else wants to challenge him? The old host asked. Wait a moment. At this moment, a voice rang out in the fighting ring. The hosting elder was stunned. He looked at one of the 20 people on the fighting ring and said, Silver Pine, do you have any questions? A young man in a silver robe stepped out with a cold and arrogant look on his face. He was the one who had called out for a moment. Elder, I don't think Lu Ming is qualified to enter the 20-person quota to participate in the treasure sealing assembly on behalf of the Dragon God Valley. Silver Pine said. Bullshit. In Zisong, what right do you have to say that junior brother Lu Ming is not qualified to participate in the Dragon God Valley's treasure fixing assembly? Everyone can see junior brother Lu Ming's strength. Tian Xue was immediately enraged as he shouted. Humph, what's so great about having some strength? In Zisong snorted coldly, his cold and arrogant expression became even stronger, and said, Everyone knows that Lu Ming is extremely daring and has offended the 3 major sects, the Deity Sect, the Sky Demon Sect, and the Yudu Sect. If he also participates in the treasure sealing assembly, we will definitely be targeted by the 3 major sections. At that time, let alone seizing the first place, it would be good enough if we don't come in last. Humph, 3 years ago in the treasure auction, we were also competed against by the three great sections. How did we get first place in the end? Xueqi said sarcastically. That was then and this is now. The treasure determination meeting is just a small matter. The treasure determination meeting is where the true geniuses are gathered. In any case, the result of his battle with the Divine Sun has nothing to do with the treasure-fixing assembly, and he's bound to be killed. It's better to directly find the Divine Sun and send him to his death. So why drag us down? Silver Pine said. Zisong is right. In my opinion, why don't we just kill Lu Ming and give him to the Divine Sun to repair our relationship with the Heavenly God sect? The master of Silver Dragon Valley said coldly from his seat. Ha ha ha, if you want to curry favor with the Heavenly God sect and become their dog, go ahead. No one will stop you. However, I'm not interested. Lu Ming suddenly burst into laughter and looked at the master of Silver Dragon Valley in disdain. Impudent, how dare you? And NBSPU. The master of Silver Dragon Valley was furious, and a powerful energy exploded from his body. The old dog is furious, Lu Ming said indifferently, his tone full of disdain. Then, he turned his head and ignored the master of Silver Dragon Valley. The master of Silver Dragon Valley was so angry that his chest heaved up and down. He wished he could kill Lu Ming with one slap. However, the experts of the 7 valleys and the other valley masters were here. Naturally, he could not do that. Many people sighed. Lu Ming was still Lu Ming. He was still so bold and direct. He called the Cloud Dragon Valley Master an old dog in front of everyone, just like 3 years ago. Everyone, you've all seen it for yourself. This kid has no respect for his elders. I suggest that we disqualify him, cripple his cultivation, and throw him into jail. The master of Silver Dragon Valley said coldly. I think 9th junior brother is right. You're clearly an old dog. As the master of a valley, you actually want to send a disciple of Dragon God Valley to the deity sect as an apology. You're really shameless. If you want to suck up to the deity sect, then leave. Just join the deity sect directly. It doesn't matter if Dragon God Valley has you or not. In the seating area, Long Yuan Shan spoke coldly. Now that he had broken through to the Saint Realm, he would be acting as the Valley Master of Cloud Dragon Valley. He had great power and didn't need to fear the Valley Master of Silver Dragon Valley. Your Cloud Dragon Valley is the cancer of Dragon God Valley. The Master of Silver Dragon Valley said angrily. All right, you're an elder. What's there to argue with a junior? Let's continue watching the competition. A purple-robed old man said. The purple-robed elder was the master of Purple Dragon Valley. That's right. Yin Long, you're already so old, yet you still want to argue with me? Aren't you afraid of being laughed at by the younger generation? The other valley master also said indifferently. The master of Silver Dragon Valley looked even gloomier. It was obvious that the other valley masters were on Lu Ming's side. Ha ha ha. On the fighting ring, Tian Chue grinned. His laughter was extremely carefree, and it was particularly harsh to the ears of the master of Silver Dragon Valley. Kneel down, Lu Ming. Not only is your participation in the treasure sealing assembly of no use, but it has also caused us to be targeted by the other 3 great sections. If I were you, I would automatically get out of the fighting stage and not participate. Silver Pine shouted and continued to attack Lu Ming. He wanted Lu Ming to be unable to participate in the treasure sealing assembly and lose all his face. Then he would be killed by the Divine Sun. Moreover, it could suppress Lu Ming and boost his reputation. Yin Song, was a Heaven's Pride expert who had just risen. 3 years ago, his cultivation was only at the peak of the 9th level martial royal realm. He could not shine and could not be compared with the top geniuses. But now, his cultivation had reached the 2nd stage of half-saint and he had comprehended the laws. Moreover, he also had a superior grade earth spiritual body and powerful combat strength. Now in Dragon God Valley, his combat strength was second only to Zifeng, one of the 10 great monstrous talents. He was full of ambition and was determined to surpass Zifeng and become the new top 10 geniuses. Before that, he had to constantly establish his own prestige. Lu Ming, who was currently famous, was undoubtedly a very good choice. So you're saying that your participation in the treasure-fixing assembly is very useful? Lu Ming replied indifferently. Nonsense. Who in Dragon God Valley doesn't know my combat power? If I participate in the treasure-fixing assembly, I will definitely help Dragon God Valley achieve great things. Silver Pine said proudly. You trash? He really knows how to put gold on his face. Lu Ming said indifferently. What did you just say? Yin Zisong was furious and his face was extremely gloomy. He rolled his eyes and came up with a plan. Lu Ming, I challenge you now. If you can withstand 10 moves from me and not lose, I'll admit that you're capable and you'll be eligible to participate in the treasure sealing assembly. How about it? 10 moves. The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled up slightly. What's wrong? You don't dare to? Yin Zisong sneered, then cupped his fists to the hosting elder and said, Elder, is this battle all right? If Lu Ming agrees to it, sure. The hosting elder said. Everyone's gaze was on Lu Ming. Did Lu Ming dare to accept the challenge from Yin Zisong? Currently, Yin Zisong was the second strongest person among the younger generation in Dragon God Valley, second only to Zifeng. If he did not have the cultivation of the second stage of Half-Saint, it would not be easy to take 10 moves from Silver Pine. All right, you can make your move. Lu Ming said calmly. His expression was calm, and no one could tell what he was thinking. In his seat, the master of Silver Dragon Valley was delighted. He sent a message to Yin Zisong. Zisong, this is an opportunity. Seize it and cripple Lu Ming. Yin Taisong nodded in agreement, a sharp glint flashing in his eyes. Junior brother, you have to be careful. Yin Song's cultivation has already reached the second stage of the Half-Saint realm. His spiritual body is a superior earth spiritual body. Xueqi quickly sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming secretly, warning him to be careful. Lu Ming flashed a reassuring smile at Tian Chue and Xueqi. Humph. This guy wants to challenge Master. He'll definitely be beaten down by Master. Master is the strongest. Lu Xiangxiang said from the side of Long Yuan Mountain. Bang! In the fighting ring, Silver Pine stepped out. The cultivation of the second stage of the Half-Saint realm was undoubtedly revealed. There were laws surrounding him, and his aura was threatening. Lu Ming, you really overestimate yourself. 3 years ago, your cultivation was only at the 4th level of the Martial Emperor realm. Now, no matter how fast you improve, what realm can you reach? Kneel down. Yin Zifeng sneered and strode forward, sending a palm strike towards Lu Ming. Kneel down. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly shouted. The divine sword technique in his eyes shot out and pierced into the Silver Pine's body. Ah! Silver Pine let out an extremely shrill scream. Its eyes were protruding out, and its face was twisted together as if it was suffering unbearable pain. His soul was almost torn apart by Lu Ming. Kneel down. Lu Ming shouted again and took a step forward. Boom! Lu Ming's Saint Realm soul power went berserk and frantically pressed down on the silver. At this moment, Lu Ming seemed to have transformed into a god in front of Silver Pine. He was 100,000 feet tall and stood between the sky and earth. With a single thought, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked, and millions of corpses fell. At this moment, Silver Pine's liver and guts were torn apart. With a plop, he directly knelt down. Seeing this, everyone was dumbfounded. Their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Silver Pine actually knelt in front of Lu Ming. Moreover, the two of them did not fight at all. There was no explosive scene. They only heard Lu Ming shout "Get down" twice and then, Yin Zisong knelt down. What was going on? Previously, Yin Song had been insufferably arrogant and had looked down on Lu Ming. He had said that if Lu Ming could withstand 10 moves from him, he would acknowledge Lu Ming's strength and be able to participate in the treasure-fixing assembly. But now, he had not even made a move and he was already kneeling in front of Lu Ming. What was this? Lu Ming, what demonic art did you use? The master of Silver Dragon Valley roared from his seat. He found it hard to believe. The most outstanding talent of the Silver Dragon Valley was kneeling in front of Lu Ming just because of Lu Ming's 2 shouts. Yao arts? It's ridiculous that you're the master of a valley and a great sage, but you actually said the word demonic technique. Lu Ming sneered in response. There were thousands of secret skills on the path of martial arts. The master of Silver Dragon Valley said the word demonic skill, as if he was an ordinary person who had not cultivated it. How ridiculous was that? The master of Silver Dragon Valley widened his eyes in anger, but he couldn't refute. You can't even tell with your soul power? Long Yuan Shan spoke. This old master can naturally see it. There's no need for you to say it. the master of Silver Dragon Valley said coldly. Naturally, they could tell that Lu Ming was using his soul force. He had only said the word demonic art in a moment of desperation. However, Lu Ming's soul force was too strong. It made them apprehensive. How did this kid's soul power reach such a level? It's comparable to a saint. And NBSP, damn it! The master of Silver Dragon Valley roared in his heart. He hated Lu Ming to the core. He could not control the anger in his heart when he was facing Lu Ming. Otherwise, as the Valley Master, he would not be in such a pathetic state. Buzz! On the fighting ring, Lu Ming retracted his soul force. Silver Pine felt his soul become lighter, and he panted heavily as if he had collapsed. Then, he came to his senses. He was kneeling in front of Lu Ming. Everyone's eyes were on him. Some were disdainful, and some were sarcastic. Ah, damn it, how could this be? Silver Pine's eyes were red and he was screaming madly in his heart. He was actually kneeling in front of Lu Ming. Just now, it was as if his soul had been torn apart and he had no idea what he had done. You're really a piece of trash, Lu Ming said calmly. Lu Ming. You, Silver Pine shouted. He was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. Nest, you're so powerful. You actually spurted blood on your own. I've really learned something today. Tian Chue gloated, adding insult to injury, causing Yin Zisong to spit out another mouthful of blood. Let's go. The master of Silver Dragon Valley couldn't stand it anymore. He waved his sleeve and left. Today, he had lost all his face. He was afraid that if he stayed any longer, he would be like a silver pine and vomit blood from anger. So wild dogs look like this after the master of Silver Dragon Valley left. The challenge continued. Since Yin Song was the one who was challenged, he still had to stay in the fighting ring. Yin Tai Song could only lower his head the entire time and stand in the fighting ring in shame. The challenges continued. However, given Lu Ming's combat strength, no one dared to challenge him. In reality, no one dared to challenge those who were ranked at the top. Most of the challenges that were carried out later ended in failure. Half a day later, the challenge ended and the 20 spots were set. In Tian Chue's cave residence in Cloud Dragon Valley, Long Yuan Shan, Lu Ming, Tian Chue, and Xuening Xin sat around a table and drank to their heart's content. Ha ha ha, it's so satisfying today. I'm so happy to see the old dog master of Silver Dragon Valley. Tian Chue gulped down a few mouthfuls of wine and laughed. When she thought of the master of Silver Dragon Valley's defeated expression, Long Yuan Mountain and Xuening Xin also revealed a smile. By the way, ninth junior brother, what realm have you reached now? Long Yuan Mountain asked. Tian Chue and Xuening Xin also revealed curious expressions. Lu Ming did not hide anything. The aura on his body bloomed, and laws surrounded him. Law. This is the second stage of the half-saint realm. Amazing, amazing. Tian Chue's eyes widened. Ninth junior brother's talent is extraordinary. I, as his senior sister, have been surpassed, Xuening Xin said with a smile. When they first met Lu Ming's cultivation base was far inferior to theirs. Now, he had surpassed them. Lu Ming's talent was shocking. Of course, they were also happy for Lu Ming. However, Long Yuan Mountain's face didn't show any happiness as he asked, Ninth junior brother, are you confident in facing the divine child? As soon as he said this, Tian Chue and Xuening Xin's faces immediately became serious, revealing a trace of worry. Although Lu Ming was powerful, he was only at the second stage of the half-saint realm. The divine son had reached the saint realm a year and a half ago. In the saint realm, one could refine the saint heart and turn their vital essence into saint power. They would have a stronger control over the laws and would be much stronger than half-saints. In the second stage of the half-saint realm, it was too difficult to fight with a saint. Furthermore, the deity was not an ordinary half-saint, but a top heaven's favorite, a monster in the azure state. If the divine son's cultivation is still at the sage small perfection realm, I have a 50% chance of killing him. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and said, What? 50% chance of killing him? Long Yuan Mountain, Tian Chue and Xuening Xin were dumbfounded. Although they had hoped that Lu Ming would say that he was confident, they had never expected him to say that he was 50% confident in killing the divine son. Not defeat, but kill. Killing was much harder than defeating. Lu Ming was actually 50% confident that he could kill the divine son. Long Yuan Shan, Xueqi and Xueningshin looked at each other. It seemed that they had underestimated this little junior brother. Ha ha ha, good. Then senior brother will wait for junior brother to show off his divine might at the treasure-fixing assembly and kill him without leaving a single piece of armor. Xueqi laughed heartily as he picked up the wine jar and took a few more gulps. They hadn't seen each other for more than a year, so they naturally had a lot to talk about. They drank and chatted until late at night before they left. Lu Ming spent the rest of the time in closed-door cultivation, focusing on his cultivation. The Divine Sun had broken through to the Saint Realm a year and a half ago. It was very difficult to break through after reaching the Saint Realm. The resources and time required to break through each realm were far beyond that of the Martial Royal Realm. However, the deity's talent was very high, and he had also received the full support of the Tianshan sect. In 1.5 years, who knew if the deity had broken through? If the Divine Sun were to make another breakthrough, it would be very difficult for Lu Ming to defeat him. Therefore, the only way was to constantly improve his own strength. Lu Ming spent the next few days comprehending the chaos laws and cultivating the chaos sky-turning seal. He had long cultivated the chaos sky-turning seal to the peak of the 5th level. If he could break through to the 6th level, Lu Ming's combat strength would increase again. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. At this time, there was only about a month before the start of the treasure sealing convention, and it was time to set off for the Tsang Mountains. Tianque, Xueningshin, Lu Ming, and Lu Xiangxiang had come together to broaden their horizons, so Lu Ming had brought Lu Xiangxiang along. Before he left, Lu Ming sent a message to Su Lei. Back then, Lu Ming had promised to bring Su Lei along when he went to the Tsang Mountains. The group of 5 arrived at the Dragon God Valley. This time, take my space-breaking flying shuttle. Xueningshin smiled and took out a flying shuttle. It was shining with silver light and was extremely beautiful. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that Xueningshin's space-breaking flying shuttle was by no means comparable to an ordinary space-breaking flying shuttle. The 5 of them entered the space-breaking flying shuttle, and with a swish, it shot through the sky like a stream of light. Its speed was twice that of an ordinary space-breaking flying shuttle. In just 7 days, they had arrived near the Tsang Mountains. As they neared the Grey Mountain, they got off the flying shuttle and headed towards the mountain. Boom! Boom! As they neared the Tsang Mountain, they heard a roar in front of them. Beams of bright light shot up into the sky. Someone was fighting. There were still some people watching in the void. The 5 of them approached and found that the 2 people fighting were at the 6th level Martial Royal Realm and belonged to 2 different sections. Before the start of each treasure-fixing assembly, it was always the stage for those below the 6th level of the Martial Royal Realm. It was very normal for them to fight with each other. The approach of Lu Ming and the group attracted the attention of others. Many pairs of eyes looked at them. That is, Lu Ming? It's really him. He has finally appeared. In the past few years, he has barely appeared. More than a year ago, he only appeared once in the heavenly wind plains, and then disappeared. I originally thought that in this time's treasure sealing assembly, he would not appear. I didn't expect that he would really appear. Interesting. Lu Ming's appearance attracted a lot of discussion. Hee, Lu Ming, you really dare to show yourself. I thought you would be like a turtle hiding in its shell and not dare to come out. A sneer rang out and spread throughout the entire area. A few figures stepped in the air and arrived in front of Lu Ming and the rest. They sneered at Lu Ming. Stone Crown. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. The person who spoke just now was Xueqi of the Tianshan sect. In the last treasure settlement ceremony, Lu Ming and the others were chased by Xueqi as soon as they arrived at the Tsang Mountains. Close to 3 years had passed, and Xueqi had undoubtedly become even more powerful. His body was suffused with milky white holy light, and the power of laws circulated around him. The second stage of half-saint was Xueqi's cultivation. However, Xueqi did not have a superior-grade earth spiritual body but a medium-grade earth spiritual body. Lu Ming could kill him with one slap. What bad luck! I heard a wild dog barking as soon as I arrived at the Tsang Mountain. Tianque sneered as he laughed. Senior brother is right, and it's an ugly wild dog. Xueningshin also called out. Tianque and Xueningshin spoke one after another, causing Xiang to smile. This little girl blinked her eyes and asked curiously, Martial uncle, martial aunt, so this is what wild dogs look like. It's the first time Xiang has seen them. The little girl was innocent and innocent. When she said that, the surrounding people couldn't help but laugh. Chapter 1671 Purchasing Treasures. Xueqi's face was incomparably dark and gloomy. His cold eyes swept across Xueqi and the rest as he said, "What's the use of a sharp tongue? Lu Ming, this time, there's no need for Senior Brother Divine Son to make a move. You'll lose your life in the treasure-fixing assembly." Humph. With that, Xueqi snorted coldly and left with a few disciples of the Heavenly God sect. Lu Ming and the rest did not stay there. They flew directly to the Dragon God Valley station at the Tsang Mountain. It was the first time Xiang Bela had come to the Tsang Mountains. Her big eyes were spinning around, full of curiosity. This was the first time that the little girl had gone out of the Lu clan for so many years. She was either in the Lu clan fort or Dragon God Valley. Xiang, cultivate well. When you reach the high-level martial royal realm, it'll let you go out and wander alone. Lu Ming said. Xiang will definitely do her best. The little girl's eyes immediately lit up and she clenched her fists. The next few days were peaceful after they arrived at the Dragon God Valley. 3 days later, Xueqi and Xueningshin came to look for Lu Ming. The Supreme Treasure Pavilion was about to open its doors to sell treasures again. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation. The Supreme Treasure Pavilion was an emperor-level power, and its business was spread across many large provinces. There were countless treasures in the Supreme Treasure Pavilion, many of which could not be found in the Azure province. Lu Ming also wanted to buy 2 things. It was also a space-breaking flying shuttle. Lu Ming wanted to buy a higher-level space-breaking flying shuttle. The second was the dragon bone or the blood essence of a real dragon. Previously, Lu Ming had obtained a dragon valley in the ancestral land of Gusu City. However, it was obvious that the dragon bone had been dead for many years. The spiritual essence of the dragon bone had been severely lost. Lu Ming estimated that even if he devoured and refined it, it would be difficult for his spirit body to evolve. The dragon god combat body had reached the heavenly spiritual body level. Every time it evolved, it would consume a terrifying amount of energy and require a terrifying amount of spiritual essence of a true dragon. Therefore, Lu Ming needed more true dragon bone goo or blood essence. Moreover, the blood essence of the true dragon skeleton at the Bright Saint realm was no longer of much use to Lu Ming. He needed something of a higher level, which was almost impossible to find in the Azure region. When Lu Ming was in the Dragon God Valley, he had gone to the Treasure Dragon Hall to ask, but the highest level of the true dragon skeleton was only at the peak of the Bright Saint realm, and there were not many. Lu Ming was also looking forward to the opening of the Supreme Treasure Pavilion in the Tsang Mountains. The 3 of them headed towards the Supreme Treasure Pavilion. Just like 3 years ago, the Supreme Treasure Pavilion was packed with people. Many of them were wearing black robes and bamboo hats, afraid that others would recognize them. 3 years ago, Lu Ming and the rest were the same. However, this time, the 3 of them did not hide it. With Lu Ming's current combat strength, there was no need to hide it. The 3 of them stepped into the Supreme Treasure Pavilion and immediately attracted many pairs of eyes. Many people turned to look at Lu Ming. Clearly, many of them recognized him. Lu Ming did not care at all. With a calm expression, he, Xueqi, and the other 2 started to walk around. After walking 1 round, they went to the 3rd floor. Some people's eyes flickered. They followed Lu Ming and the other 2 to the 3rd floor. The treasures on the 3rd floor were of a much higher grade. Lu Ming went to a counter that specialized in selling holy weapons. A young lady smiled at him. "What saint weapon would you like to purchase?" The young woman said with a smile. "Excuse me, are there any space-breaking flying shuttles for sale here?" Lu Ming asked. "Of course we have a space-breaking flying shuttle. How many times faster do you need?" The young woman asked. The space-breaking flying shuttle that Lu Ming used in the past was of the lowest level. With this kind of space-breaking flying shuttle as a unit, it was called the space-breaking flying shuttle that could double the speed. The higher grade of the flying shuttle would be faster. For example, Xueningsin's flying shuttle was twice as fast as the normal flying shuttle, so it was called the double space-breaking flying shuttle. If its speed was 3 times, it would be called a triple space-breaking shuttle, and so on. Back then, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's space-breaking flying shuttle had been at least 10 times larger. The main thing about the space-breaking flying shuttle was speed, followed by defensive power. Normally, the faster the speed, the higher the value. A normal spatial piercing shuttle was worth around 5 saint weapons, and a spatial piercing shuttle that was twice as fast was worth double that. The faster it was, the more expensive it was. I need a space-breaking flying shuttle that can travel at 5 times the normal speed. Lu Ming muttered to himself. Of course we have a space-breaking shuttle with 5 times the speed. Please wait a moment, sir. The young woman took out a storage ring. The ring glowed, and an extremely beautiful space-breaking flying shuttle appeared. It was only the size of a palm, and it was covered with beautiful starlight. As soon as the space-breaking flying shuttle was taken out, it attracted a lot of attention. What a beautiful space-breaking flying shuttle. I'm afraid this space-breaking flying shuttle is extraordinary. The beautiful lady said that it's a space-breaking flying shuttle that can travel at 5 times the speed. Can Lu Ming afford it? Low voices came from all around, and many people's eyes were burning with passion. Lu Ming's eyes also flashed. With the speed of the space-breaking shuttle at 5 times, it would only take him 3 days at most to travel between the Tsong Mountains and Dragon God Valley, or even less. Lu Ming was very tempted. This space-breaking flying shuttle is made of star iron. It's worth 25 bright saint weapons. Do you want it? The woman's voice sounded. I'm taking it. Lu Ming's words shocked many people. Lu Ming said he wanted 25 bright sacred weapons without even blinking. Many people were dumbfounded, and some people even had a flash of greed in their eyes. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled into a cold smile. If it was 3 years ago, he would definitely not dare to be so arrogant. But now, if anyone dared to have any ideas about him, he didn't mind killing a portion of them first. Excuse me, do you sell true dragon bones here? If there is, I'll buy some and pay for it together. Lu Ming said. I do have true dragon bones. What level of true dragon bones do you need, sir? The young woman said. For those above the Great Saint realm, the higher the level, the better. Lu Ming said. Those above the Great Sage realm. The young woman's eyes flickered. We only have 1,500 kilograms of Supreme Saint True Dragon Bones here, and they're full of spirit. However, the price is very high. You'll need 50 Bright Saint weapons. The young woman was sending this sentence to Lu Ming through voice transmission. The young woman was also thinking about Lu Ming. The price must be too shocking, and she was afraid that Lu Ming would be coveted by others. 50 Bright Saint weapons? Lu Ming's heart stirred. In total, he would need 75 Bright Saint weapons. He could take out that many Bright Saint weapons, but he wouldn't have many left if he took them out. If he needed to cultivate the 10,000 soldier scroll in the future, where would he find so many Bright Saint weapons in a short time? Lu Ming thought about it and decided to use other treasures to offset it. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He took out a storage ring and handed it to the young woman. Miss, take a look and see if the things inside can offset the dragon bone and the space-breaking flying shuttle. The young woman nodded and took the storage ring. After scanning it with her spiritual senses, her expression changed and she sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. Could this be the corpse of an absolute saint divine beast? Lu Ming nodded. Back then, Lu Ming had obtained the corpse of a goshawk in his bedroom in the Emperor Tsong's secret realm. It was an absolute saint. Although it had been dead for many years, the price of an absolute saint divine beast was still very high. Its entire body was filled with treasures. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.